Last night, you got to hear from Tim Draper, Mati Greenspan, and many other crypto luminaries. Tonight, the world's biggest blockchain event brings you a stellar roster featuring Edward Griffin, Brittany Kaiser, and many more. Get ready because this is night number 2 of Virtual Blockchain Week. And here we go. Yes. The second night, Mr. Travis Wright, it has begun. I don't know about you, but just last night, I was so tired after the 4 hours of streaming we did because there was just so much content and activity. I'm pumped. I'm ready.
Is your brain back? We're good.
My brain is back. I'm well rested. I got out today. Got my walk.
It was great. You know, we had a long day yesterday, and then early this morning we had a conversation with Charlie Shrem. So we got up really early this morning, and then I took a nap because I needed that.
So I'm in Denver, you're in Kansas City, Missouri, and Charlie's on the East Coast. So he interviewed us for his show, Untold Stories with Charlie Shrem. It'll air in a couple weeks, but I woke up at 7:30 in the morning, and the first thing I see is a message from him that says, "I'm not feeling that great. Can we do this Thursday?" I said, "Dude, I woke up for you." He's like, "Okay, we'll do that."
That's great.
Let's do that. Well, welcome everybody. We're really glad you're here. Virtual Blockchain Week 2020. It's taking place all week right here from 6:30 p.m. Eastern time to 10. Although last night we went all the way to 10:30, and we have a stacked schedule for you today. Travis, you want to talk about who's coming up?
Yeah. So, first of all, we got Oz Sultan who's going to do a quick a little announcement here in a few. Then we got Stewart Rogers going to pop in, my old co-host at VentureBeat. We had the old VentureBeat podcast, and we all hosted the Bad Boys of Tech together. We're going to do a little chat about CoinGecko. Is he coming on today? Is Bobby Young coming on today?
No, Bobby's not on today. I'm not sure. Okay. I have to look at the itinerary, but we've got Reyna coming here from Gilded. She's going to talk a little bit about putting digital currency payments on autopilot. And then our opening keynote, the legend, the author, the speaker, the political theorist, Edward Griffin is going to be here to talk about the latest moves by the Federal Reserve and what it all means.
Yeah, that's exciting. And a lot of his research I used last night during my keynote presentation on Funny Money, which was 26 minutes long. And I said interesting 21 times. That's pretty interesting.
That's interesting.
Very interesting. So every time I say interesting, folks, you got to take a drink.
Make sure you go to virtualblockchainweek.com and click the agenda to see everything that's coming up tonight. You're not going to want to miss any of this. If you missed it live yesterday, replays are available on the various places that we're streaming, including Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, DLive.tv, Theta.tv, LinkedIn. There's a lot of different places this is going out to, and multiple pages within those platforms. But none of this would be possible without our sponsors. And we want to give a special shout out to our lead title sponsor, CryptoMaticATM and Joff Paradise. In fact, you're going to get to hear from Joss today. You can start your own business. You want to earn passive income. Who doesn't like that passive income? Money while you're sleeping? Yes, please. You could do it by placing your own German-built ATM for public use, a crypto ATM, cash to crypto, crypto to cash, both ways. As cryptocurrencies are quickly becoming part of the world's everyday life, it's creating demand for a convenient solution to exchange between the cryptos and the cash. And Travis, they're giving away 2 of these bad boys. I'm going to put them up on my screen right here behind me. These CryptoMatic.
It's pretty
ATMs.
cool. But you know, one thing that's great about those is they're systematic. The hydromatic,
the CryptoMatic,
ultramatic. It's CryptoMatic Grease Lightning.
2 of these ATMs are going to be given away this week, but you have to register in order to be eligible to win one. Simply go to virtualblockchainweek.com and register. It's free. If you become a VIP and get access to our 2 private parties that are coming up Wednesday and Friday, then you will get 5 extra entries to win these 2 CryptoMatic ATM machines, as well as the other contests that we're going to be having. So that's something that you want to jump on. Make sure you get registered right now. Travis, we're going to move it along quickly because we got a lot of stuff to share. And right now we want to bring in our friend, Mr. Sultan. He's a tech and marketing industry veteran with 20 years of experience developing innovative solutions for brands and Fortune 100 companies. He's also at the forefront of American Muslim affairs, as well as diplomatic and interfaith engagement. He's been on Bad Crypto multiple times, and now he's here. Mr. Sultan, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, how are you guys doing? Greetings from sunny Harlem today. I don't think we're going to be on that long, but at 7 o'clock we get everyone sort of like, banging pots and cheering for our healthcare workers.
Yeah.
I got a special announcement today. So over the course of the past couple of years, I've gotten involved with blockchain legislation. We recently wrote a portion of the legislation and helped out with Rhode Island. So that's on the floor right now. I've been involved in numerous, companies. I'm an advisor, one of the original bad advisors to Badcoin. But I thought that, given the gravity of what's going on in America today, that there's a big need and there's a big vacuum for new leaders. And so what I'd like to do is I'm now announcing my run for state senate in Harlem, which is state senate seat 30, starting today, which you can find at oz4ny.com. We're still in the process of wiring all the Twitter and the Facebook and everything else together. But let me tell you kind of what I'm running on and what I stand for. I'm probably one of the first state level completely pro blockchain candidates that's out there. I'm working with the Radiologics blockchain, which is launching sometime this week. It's also colloquially called RDEE. That's going to try and put the blockchain in the back of PPE transactions in the US so people stop buying fraudulent stuff from China. I've been a member of the Homeland Security Foundation of America for 2 or 3 years, focused on stopping active shooters. I've worked on homelessness legislation in New York with the 5-Borough Coalition. And locally, we're trying to bring education opportunities in, as well as community banking. And the platform's really, really simple. We need to bring in community banking because after COVID, 50% of what we have in terms of businesses aren't going to exist. The opportunity for buying a home is something that, we need more liquidity for. And decentralized finance, I think, can play a role in that as well. And then kind of lastly, we need a big focus on just rebuilding communities, getting families back together, and just getting through all of the mess that's going to be the next 6 to 7 months. We know there's a lot more economic stimulus coming, but if you're a wage worker, if you work as a bartender, if you're someone who's in the service industry, what are the opportunities for you future forward? And I think we need new leaders, and I'm looking to be the first of a brand of a bunch of them that focuses on the utility of new technology, what we can do for our communities, and how we can basically best work together to kind of build the future that we need. And in a post-COVID era, I think this is going to be absolutely necessary. I'm hugely focused on bipartisanship. I think we need to reach across the aisle. And I will be running on the independent and Republican tickets in New York. So, please get involved. It's at Oz for New York, at Oz for NY, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and the website.com. And I'm at Oz Sultan on Twitter, really easy to reach. And ask me questions. I'll be doing a bunch of live chats and trying to figure out how we can bring things in. And if you are in the community and you have decentralized finance solutions, we're already talking to Swiss Key about bringing a couple of things in. But if you got stuff, I'm looking for opportunities because there's a lot to fix and there's a lot of need, and the time is now.
Congratulations. That is exciting news right there, man.
Thank you.
You chose Virtual Blockchain Week to announce your candidacy. How cool is that?
That's super cool. And we need people in government that understand blockchain. So of course, Oz, we got your back here at Bad Crypto and Virtual Blockchain Week. Thanks for checking in. And what day are you giving your talk?
I'm giving it Friday at 8:40 p.m. and I'll just be mentioning this briefly, the campaign. But again, it's the need for enterprise blockchains in the supply chain today, and just enterprise blockchains, period. Because we've got great projects out there, and we've got a lot of traction in cryptocurrency, but you don't know where your food came from. And 2 years from now, you're really going to want to know that whatever was shipped to you is COVID free, that it didn't come in contact with polluted water or things like that.
Are we going to start stamping our food like that, COVID free? That'd be interesting. Well, we're looking forward to it, man. See you on Friday and at the VIP parties. We hope you'll be able to show up and network with people.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. And thank you, everyone.
You bet, buddy. Thanks. Take care.
Right,
Mr. Travis Wright, would you like to bring in our next guest? Because you guys have history.
Yes. The one and only Stewart Rogers is going to be with us. He's going to jump on. He is the James Bond of Martech. He was ranked 7th of the most influential in marketing technology globally. So he's the James Bond. I was ranked number 5. I just want to say that. But James Bond is way cooler. He's a journalist. He's an analyst, public speaker. He's an author. He's a startup founder, a musician. He's an amazing singer. He's super handsome and awesome in every way. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stewart Rogers.
Stewart, unmute yourself there, Stewart, so we can, I'm not good at reading lips. Also, editor at gritdaily.com.
That is true.
Grit Daily is covering this event, and Stewart is managing it. He's watching all the things.
It's so awesome to see you guys. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Absolutely.
It's been a hot minute since we've been in the same room as each other.
Yeah, well, several hot minutes.
But how can we put on a conference and not have Stewart Rogers be a part of it? I mean, you're a part of literally every conference, aren't you?
Absolutely. Used to be. But of course, now we're kind of locked down. But I'm still part of a lot of the online conferences now that we've moved online. So, and of course, couldn't possibly miss Virtual Blockchain Week. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, maybe, tell us a little bit in this world that we're in where so much journalism is remote, right? And you're trying to gather information without always being able to interview people in person. This is different from how journalism began, right? You'd have to be on the scene. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, journalism obviously has been very much, especially in the mainstream media, has been very much about being in person with somebody. The interesting thing is, like, in my career, I've always been online journalist. Back when I used to run my very popular PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 news sites, when I was with VentureBeat, now I'm with Grit Daily. Actually, nothing has changed because we, even though we do in-person things, and, Travis and I, we went around the world a little bit doing VB Engage, which was the VentureBeat podcast. We did obviously do stuff in person, with the likes of Alexis Ohanian and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and that kind of thing. But the majority of what we do in the tech press is exactly remote. We get a pitch and we look at that story and we'll send questions via email, or we might jump on a call like this. But we are doing it remotely most of the time. So thankfully, not a lot has changed. I'll tell you from a blockchain perspective what has changed, though. Now, back a few years back when I started covering blockchain, I get something around 200 pitches a day for startups that want to, have me write about them. And when blockchain was, really at its boom in terms of the amount of projects that come out, a big, fairly significant chunk of those pitches were from blockchain projects. But as we know, a lot of those blockchain projects were vaporware. A lot of them were scams. They didn't really come to fruition.
Be connect.
Exactly.
Sorry,
I mean, the old joke was that whilst you and I might build our products on JavaScript, everybody on blockchain was building their products on PowerPoint. But now I see a significantly lower number of blockchain projects come by my desk. And in fact, before doing this, I thought, hey, let's actually look at the data, let's look at the numbers. And the volume of blockchain projects that are coming through my email has dropped down to 25% of what it was 2 years ago. And I actually see that as a good thing for the industry. And I'll tell you why. We did lose a lot of trust in people. Blockchain became a bit of a joke. And that's because of all the scams and the vaporware. Now the stuff that's coming across my desk has minimum MVP, and actually most of the time it's actually a real product. And what I'm also seeing, which is very refreshing, is that people are starting to not talk about blockchain. They're just starting to talk about what their solution is, what it does, and why you should care about it. In exactly the same way as I don't walk around saying, hey, do you want to check out my latest JavaScript technology project? I don't say that. So why would we do that in a blockchain world? So, I'm actually seeing it as a good thing. We're seeing real projects come by. We're seeing people talk less about blockchain and more about the problems they're solving. And I like that because I think that is going to help the industry regain trust again.
Yeah, you were mentioned today when Joel and I were being interviewed by Charlie Shrem. And he asked, so when you were at VentureBeat with Stewart, you had your podcast, did you talk a lot about blockchain projects? And I was like, I don't think during that time we talked a lot about blockchain projects, but I know that there was one blockchain project that we talked about that paid us something in some crypto. And then I remember how upset you were that you could never get it out of Coinbase. And it sort of impacts, like, yeah, it sucks. Like, crypto's not so great. He can't even get it out. Like, gosh, have you ever gotten your money out of Coinbase yet?
Yeah, I did eventually get my money out of Coinbase. It kind of sucked that even though they had 275 million in funding or something like that, that they, I think, had one customer support person and they were taking 3 weeks between messages just to move a ticket along. But yeah, we eventually got there. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's got a nice new wallet that's very cool. And I was saying, like, here's the problem. If somebody who is as technically adept as me and you and Joel and everybody that's in this space can't use this stuff, then we're not going to succeed at making it consumer friendly right now. So, I've seen some really good consumer friendly solutions out there, and they are starting to come through. That's where we need to be driving our focus and our impetus, because we need to get it into the hands of real people. Like, until my sisters or my mum or my next door neighbor is able to just go ahead and use crypto in the same way that we're able to use fiat, we're not going to succeed in making it mainstream. So I like the fact there are lots of really easier to use solutions coming out right now, and you don't have to be an astrophysicist to use cryptocurrencies.
Well, we're glad you're here, Stewart, and glad that you're covering for Grit Daily. If you guys haven't visited gritdaily.com, why don't you tell people really briefly what the site is?
Really briefly, we cover tech news, entertainment news, and lifestyle news every single day. We just basically try and keep our pulse on exactly what's happening right across the board. So it's not just tech, it's also entertainment and lifestyle. That's Grit Daily, and we cover a lot of events live, and we run a lot of side events all over the world when, of course, the conference season is actually running again. Yeah, come check us out, gritdaily.com.
We are conference season. This is
exactly.
it.
This is it now. This is it now.
The big leagues. Yeah. What are some of the sessions going on here at Virtual Blockchain Week that excite you the most, or some of the ones that you're looking forward to covering?
Well, look, man, I mean, I'm always super excited to hear from Brittany Kaiser. Brittany's a friend, and I love what she's doing with the Only Data Foundation. I think that, is always something that we have to keep in mind going forward, what she's doing to, educate the next generation in terms of data sovereignty and how to, maintain control of their information. For older bosses, I mean, 3 of us on screen right now. I think the data sovereignty horse has bolted, and it's too late to slam the door. So I think what she's doing is super awesome.
Great. Well, we're going to look forward to your coverage, gritdaily.com. And Stewart, where's your favorite place for people to follow you online?
You can find me at The Real SJR, TheReal SJR. On Twitter, on Instagram. If anybody's still using Snapchat, you'll find me there too. And you will find me on LinkedIn, but probably not a good idea too, because I dislike it with a passion.
You've hated on LinkedIn for at least 5 or 6 years, so the hate is still strong.
Don't be a hater. Stewart Rogers, thanks, buddy. We appreciate you dropping in. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks so much, guys.
Love you, brother.
Right all about us. Extra, right all about it. Mr. Travis Wright, I think I want to do a quick check-in on the price of crypto. And to do that, I'm going to pull up the CoinGecko. Let's see. Here we go.
Not CoinGeico, because you did not save 15% on your coins.
I did not, but it looks like, to timestamp this for April 28th, it is 6:51 p.m. Eastern time. The crypto market cap 224 billion, Bitcoin at 77.42. Ethereum is creeping up on 200, Travis, and it looks like Ripple's come alive again as well, up 15% this week.
And if you hit it on that, hit the 7-day high. This is interesting. Take a drink. I said interesting. 277% Hive was up. This is 280% or whatever. That's a crazy number right there. Unibright up 92%. Digibyte, that project has been around for a very long time, up 84% this week. And impressive.
See who the big loser is. There isn't a big loser. I mean, MadeSafe down 14%. This has been a good week for the cryptos, Mr. Travis Wright. And of course, the halving just a couple weeks away. Looks like May 11th, May 12th is going to be the date right now.
It's that virtual blockchain week pump that happens every year.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
We're big fans of CoinGecko.com. We appreciate their partnership with the Bad Crypto Podcast and with Virtual Blockchain Week. They've been around since 2014 and have one of the largest crypto asset data aggregation services in the world. Check them out at CoinGecko.com. And Travis, why don't we talk a little bit about our hashtag so people know how to share this, and about Zoomf.
Zoomf. Yeah, that is true. So we have a cool feature. If you go to virtualblockchainweek.com and you click on the tab up at the top that says social, or I believe you can get there by vbw20.com/social, either way. And that takes you to our really cool media sponsor called Zoomf. And Zoomf is a really interesting way to measure partnerships. This is normally built to showcase on a television screen. And so normally if you go to a conference, you would use Zoomf. It would be up on monitors all around the conference, and you can see who the most influential people are, who are sharing the most content around the event. And that's always fun stuff. And Zoomf is a platform for social audience intelligence and sponsorship measurement and evaluation. And again, vbw20.com/social. So if you have an event you're putting on, reach out to those fine folks over at Zoomf, which is one of those great made up names that's kind of fun to say.
And if you use our hashtag VBW2020, then you could take quick video clips of what's going on here. You could take pictures, and tweet stuff out. Put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram. Use VBW2020 as your hashtag, and then our social moderator will see your posts, and they're going to pick the best ones and put them up here so that everybody can see the wit and wisdom of you.
Yeah, maybe there's a contest around that you don't even know about. Maybe there's not, but maybe there is. I don't know if there is or not, but there might be. Who knows? Maybe you want to create a contest.
You don't even know.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I just do what Joel tells me.
A couple other shout outs as we get ready for our major roster of speakers coming tonight. First of all, this is also streaming on a partner site of ours at La Token. La Token, of course, a leading crypto exchange. If you go to vbw20.com/La Token, LA Token, just think of like Los Angeles Token,
but it has nothing to do with Los Angeles because
La Token. Either way, vbw20.com/La Token. I believe that they're going to be hosting another happy hour room here this week. I need to nail down the schedule for when that's going to be, but it might be Friday night during the VIP party. They might be hosting one as well.
Yeah. I tell you what, if you do not have a ticket for that, that's going to be so fun. Like Stewart Rogers, who was just here, his birthday happened, and that's what really sort of sparked the idea of having a really cool after party and people doing karaoke, and some musicians are going to play. There'll be some other interesting people popping in, take another drink, and it should be fun. I mean, I know that the people that were in the group on Sunday night were amazing people. We're doing it again tomorrow night before the event, so this will start at 5 p.m. on Eastern time tomorrow, and a lot of speakers and influencers and sponsors and VIPs are all going to be in this room. We're going to send everybody out to these smaller breakout rooms so we can do some networking on this. And this is going to be something you guys are going to find that's pretty fun and valuable, because you get to meet new people that in ways you never would have met them before. And I would suspect that this type of networking is going to be something you're going to see more of in the future, even when the whole COVID-ness goes away.
Yeah, I would recommend when you go register for your ticket, go ahead and get the VIP upgrade. It's $97. That's it. It's going to get you access to the private parties. There's 2 of them. You'll see them on the agenda with the little VIP logo next to them. Tomorrow, happy hour, and Friday night after the conference. My brain's already glitching.
We got a full buffet, unlimited drinks, and
why am I still looking at Stewart? He's like staring at me. He's glaring at me like, I know what you're thinking. He does have a glare. I know what you're thinking, Joe. Calm. Stop it. Stop it, city man. And 50% of the proceeds from your VIP ticket are going to be donated to Binance Charities Crypto Against COVID relief effort. So your money's going to a good cause. You're helping support the cost that it takes to put all of the networking on, because there are expenses behind the Zoom meeting rooms we're creating, and you're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a are you going through all of the
look at all the amazing people that's going to be here today?
There's a lot of amazing, bam. One more shout out I want to give before we bring in our next speaker, Mr. Travis Wright, and that is to our media partners at CoinTelegraph.com. There they are. They're the leading independent digital media resource covering a wide range of news on blockchain tech, crypto assets, emerging fintech trends, and each day their team delivers the most accurate and up-to-date news from both the decentralized and centralized worlds.
And they are the sweetest, most amazing images that are. What is that? World Economic Forum. Scroll back up. World Economic Forum looks to blockchain to restart global economy.
We'll have to cover that in our news this week. Our bad news episode of the Bad Crypto Podcast comes out every Friday evening, and we go to Cointelegraph to look for a lot of the stories that we want to cover. And also I saw something about DerpCon. Oh, I just clicked on Blockchain Cuties. They just got an ad click there, and a free shout out. Nice job, guys.
Wow, look at that floating ad. That's a pretty sweet little floating ad.
Nice placement right there, gang.
It is.
And they are covering this event. I saw articles here about Tim Draper's talk yesterday. And also, the things that Monty Greenspan had to say. So make sure you bookmark and check out Cointelegraph.
We love Cointelegraph. Thank you, Cointelegraph, and Jay over there. You're awesome.
Yeah. Travis, we've got our next speaker here in the queue. Would you like to go ahead and make the introduction?
Yes. So next up, we have Reyna Kasbah. She's the Chief Experience Officer at Gilded. And Gilded is really this tool that helps people do accounting with digital assets and creating invoices. She's a connector. If you present her a challenge that she cannot help you with personally, she will introduce you to a trusted associate who can. If there was a problem, She solves it, and she's great. Let's get her in here and let's chat. She's going to talk about how
the moves while the DJ revolves it.
That's true.
Reyna, welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week. There you are. Her audio is connecting. There we go. Welcome.
Hi. How's it going? I'm so excited to be on here with you guys.
We're glad that you're here, and I know you've got some things you want to share, so we're gonna turn it over to you and let you take it away.
Ta-da!
If I can figure out how to share my screen, then I will.
Yeah, you just click the little thing at the bottom and then pick the window that's got your presentation on it.
I'm in the window that has my presentation.
So in the Zoom, at the bottom of the Zoom panel, you click share screen.
Okay.
And then you pick the window and click share.
Find it.
No worries.
There we go. All right.
Yay, technology. And through the magic of the internets, boom.
Wow, look at this beautiful slide.
Cool. Oh, no. All right. So I'm here to talk to you guys about CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap, they came to us because they wanted to see what we could solve for them without really knowing what the friction points were. They allowed us to analyze their processes and just solve things. Crypto payments are fast and they're really inexpensive, especially when compared to wire transfer. But businesses have processes for everything, processes that make their business more efficient, and most of them run with a minimum amount of staff to get everything they can done. So native crypto businesses like CoinMarketCap, they developed manual processes years ago. I mean, automation tools didn't exist back then. And that's no problem when you have 5 transactions a month, but what about when you have 500 and 5,000? How does that scale? The more you grow, the harder it is to keep up with it all. And CoinMarketCap believes in mass adoption like we do. Now they're ready for it. I don't need to understand how an internal combustion engine works to drive my car. And I don't have to know how to code to send an email or spin up a website. But at one point you did. Today, the staff at CoinMarketCap doesn't need to know everything about crypto to sell you a banner ad. Have you ever wondered why, why businesses don't accept crypto? Why even ones in the industry? Well, it's because of the complexity and the lack of payment tools that make it difficult. Gilded fixes this. We help businesses take advantage of all of the positive attributes of crypto, and we obscure away all the challenges. It's all under the hood where it should be. Some people describe blockchain as an accounting system, but a decentralized distributed blockchain it's not an accounting layer, it's an accountability layer, a public ledger of truth. Yesterday, Josh Lawler, the securities attorney, he said, blockchain is the great dispute eliminator. I'm definitely stealing that, Josh. CoinMarketCap can now offer credit card, wire transfer, and crypto options to every client on every invoice. And when their clients choose crypto, the payments are instantly detected, reconciled, and they never have to look at a block explorer again. You know, for a business, downloading your blockchain transactions from your Portis wallet and exporting your trade history from Binance and plugging all that into a gain loss calculator doesn't produce a profit and loss statement. Businesses need to know where every Satoshi came from, where it went, and what it was for. The blockchain doesn't have that data, and it shouldn't. If you're a crypto pro and an accounting pro, it can still take you 5 minutes to reconcile one crypto payment to a blockchain transaction and then properly record it. Our team identifies friction points and we solve them. You need sensitive credentials to safely generate a new receive address for every transaction. And you need to copy and paste addresses to crypto invoices. You have to manually confirm receipt of payments, manually change a deal status in your CRM, manually convert fiat or crypto to fiat, that is, on a daily basis, and then manually enter every transaction into your QuickBooks instance. And those are just a few. I mean, I hear all the time, I want to accept cryptocurrency, but my accountant hates me for it. And I'm not going against her advice. Accounting professionals are the superheroes of business. They're trusted advisors, but their capes are hidden in a pile of spreadsheets. We helped CoinMarketCap automate all of those processes so they can scale as crypto scales. And I want to invite everybody to schedule a demo with our team, see that in action. We have a coupon code, so you can receive 25% off of an entire year of Gilded, thanks to the team there at Bad Crypto Podcast. And if you go to our website, gilded.finance, you can download the full CoinMarketCap case study from our website.
That's great, Reyna. We appreciate that. And we hope that everybody will go do that. You know, this event would not be possible without the great sponsors and partners that we have. And stick around for just a moment, Reyna. I'm going to pull your screen down and put this up so people can see. On the virtualblockchainweek.com page, up here at the top, you'll see a blue button that says sponsors. If you're enjoying this content, we're inviting everybody. Please go click the sponsors link and load up the page and take a look at the various offers that our sponsors are presenting for you during this event. Here's Gilded right here. They're inviting you to try it for free. And is the code, it's badcrypto_25, or is it just badcrypto25?
_25.
Okay, so badcrypto_25. If you sign up this week of the conference, after you try it for free, you'll get 25% off. So let's click that right there. Boom. And here comes Gilded. And you sign in right here.
That'll take you right to the app, and you can enter your coupon code when you upgrade. Everybody can try Gilded free. It's when you upgrade that you use that badcrypto_25 when you upgrade to the paid account. So yeah, and anyone can use it.
Super handy. And let me ask you this. Now, it says you can accept digital currency, but it didn't say which digital currency. So what are some of the digital currencies Gilded is able to accept, or CoinMarketCap is able to accept through Gilded?
They can accept Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
And we are soon launching support for USDC stablecoin. We have on all of our invoices, we have support for several stable coins, including Tether, BUSD, USDC, whatever. Oh, and the QCAD stablecoin for our peeps in Canada.
Nice, eh? Oh, I bet they appreciate that up there.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
They did. We have a partnership with StableCorp, and they made the QCAD stablecoin, which is pegged to the Canadian dollar. So
StableCorp.
Super awesome.
That's
Reyna Kasbah Celts. Do you rock the Kasbah? Is that?
So since high school, my high school basketball coach actually said that to me for 20 years. So
Sharif don't like it. Rock the Kasbah.
Rock the Kasbah.
That's what her ESPN Sports Center name would be. It's Reyna, rock the Kasbah with the ball.
No.
Reyna, thanks so much for coming on. Everybody, please check out Gilded. Go to the sponsor page, click out the link, try out their product for free. And then when you see how awesome it is and how much you need it for your business, go ahead and clickety click.
Yeah.
Bad
and a
crypto.
shout out to the CEO, Gil. We met him in at an event in Bali. We love that guy. He was a really, really smart dude with a great idea, and we love to see that it's blossomed into what it is today. So congrats to y'all.
Who did it? Gilded.
Can I say that Gil, the reason he's not here today is Gil's wife just had a baby.
Oh,
It's not really out there, but I'm gonna push it out there anyway.
So you're gonna push out the baby. Congratulations.
Yes. And,
thank you, Reyna. We appreciate you. Have a great night.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great job.
Bye.
Super awesome. Cool stuff. Love when our partners offer a cool tool that everybody can try out for themselves. Mr. Travis Wright, I'm excited. I'm
excited that you're excited.
Yes, I just changed my background to our next speaker, and I have a feeling that this is going to be one of the most intriguing talks of the event.
We shall see.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about him, or would you like me to invite?
Go ahead and invite him. I chatted about him last night. Now it's your turn.
Okay, my turn. It's Edward Griffin, our opening keynote. He's a writer, documentary film producer, and founder of Freedom Force International. He's listed in the Who's Who in America, and he deals with a full range of subjects, from ancient Earth history to the Federal Reserve System and international banking, the history of taxation, U.S. foreign policy, and a lot of you might know him from his book that's now in the 5th edition, The Creature from Jekyll Island. We are so pleased to welcome him to Virtual Blockchain Week 2020. Mr. G. Edward Griffin. Hello, good sir.
Well, hello.
So nice to see you again.
Well, thank you. Where am I? I'm not sure what part of the world I'm in.
I don't know, but can you turn up your microphone a little bit so we can hear you a little better?
How does this sound? A little bit
better? Keep going. Crank it up.
Okay. All right. Any better?
That sounds fantastic. Now you're a rock star.
A rock star. Okay. Yeah. All right.
We had the pleasure of chatting with you not so long ago, Mr. Griffin, episode 351 of Bad Crypto, which was about 50 episodes ago. And so it's a great joy to have you back on.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back on.
The world has changed since we last chatted.
Yeah, everything's changing, isn't it?
Yeah, let's just jump right in. What in the world is going on, especially in regards to the Federal Reserve?
Well, that took me by surprise. The big question lately has been like what's going on with the coronavirus theater. So I was sort of mentally prepared for that. But yeah, the Federal Reserve, let's not forget that baby, huh? Yeah, the Federal Reserve really, probably if we wanted to dig deep enough, we could find that the roots for all of our problems, including the coronavirus, go way down deep to the Fed, which means goes down to the system whereby a very small group of powerful people can create the money supply in the United States. It's the same people and their cousins, of course, who create the money supplies of all the other nations. So it's a pretty high-octane group. So when we talk about the Federal Reserve, we're really talking about a international banking cartel. And I don't know if that rings any bells in the minds of your viewers, but a cartel is generally considered not to be a good thing. Some people don't know what a cartel is, except it's bad. But for the sake of our discussion, I think we ought to at least give it a brief definition. A cartel is a group of apparently independent companies or businesses, they're usually corporations, that appear to be independent and appear to be competitors, but they have joined together for the purpose of reducing or eliminating competition between themselves so that they won't have to compete in the marketplace. They won't have to worry about producing a better product or lowering their prices or anything like that. They all agree to have the same price, produce the same products and the same specifications and the same, everything is the same. So the consumer really doesn't have much choice. And so the world went into the realm of cartels about the turn of the last century, back about 1901. By that time, the United States was well on the road to oil cartels and manufacturing cartels and railroad cartels. And that process has been, of course, continuing ever since. And we live in a world of cartels today. The health field is a cartel, and the the industry that produces our electricity and our utilities. Those are cartels.
Would you call the social media and tech landscape a cartel too?
Of course,
Apple, Facebook,
everything
Google?
everything of significance is a cartel. You can see it in the tech world, in the social media world. YouTube and Amazon and all of the channels of communication. They're all saying the same thing. They all have the same standards. They all have the same point of view when it comes to politics and so forth. So it's a giveaway when you can see it on the surface like that. But that's sort of background. Let's come back to this thing called the Federal Reserve, which is really a banking cartel. Yeah, there are a lot of banks out there, but they all formed this association years ago, at least in the United States. It was done officially in 1913. And all the banks agreed to come together and charge the same interest rates, basically, in a very narrow range, follow the same policies, and the idea was to keep the control in the hands of the biggest players in the game. Just the same as an oil cartel or a banana cartel, a peanut cartel. You go on down the list. Now, I dwell on this a little bit because most people have no idea that the Federal Reserve System is a cartel, just like a banana cartel. And it's not a government agency. It's not here for you folks. It's not here for us. It's here for them. And they control things, folks, in case you hadn't noticed. Even when Congress has to be called in to raise their hands and vote on the creation of a lot of money, what they're authorizing the Fed to do is something they can do anyway now, is to create money out of nothing. And where that money goes, of course, in case you hadn't noticed, a lot of it, a big, huge chunk of it, goes to the government because they know that if they raise taxes in order to cover all of the expenses that the government has taken on, I mean, they're bailing out everything that needs bailing out. They're buying up all the impossible debts in the world today. They're just paying off these debts, and they're providing housing and medical care and education and everything. I mean, these are like drunken sailors spending money. First it was millions, then it was billions, and now, in case you haven't noticed, if you read your newspapers, it's trillions of dollars, and they raise their hands, and goes another $1 trillion bailout or a donation or a grant to somebody. Where does this money come from? Well, it comes from this cartel, which was given the power by Congress years ago to create this money literally out of nothing. That's why they don't worry about how much anything costs anymore, because they don't have to tax people for it. They don't have to collect this money in taxes. If they did, which was the old format, if the American people had to actually write a check or see the money come out of their paychecks to go to pay for everything that the government is spending right now, why, there'd be a revolution overnight. Before the sun was up, I think these congressmen and the senators and most of the judges and so forth would be hanging from trees because the people would see that they're being plundered. Mm-hmm. But no, they can't see it when it's done through this Federal Reserve System because it's all bookkeeping. And the people pay for it, of course, through higher prices. The monetary system keeps expanding. There are more and more dollars in circulation, but the goods and services don't expand. So if the dollars go up, but the goods and services don't go up, that means we have more dollars to bid against those services, and so the prices go up for everything. And right now, of course, we're going through kind of a dip because of the crash in the economy, but eventually this will wave out again, and you'll find that gas has gone back up to $3 and $4 and $5. And if this process continues, it'll be $50 and $100 a gallon. A loaf of bread will be $20. A bottle of milk will be $50 and so forth. And so these dollars will be nothing. That's how these expenses will be paid, is through inflation. Now that's all background. We'll come back to your question. You say, what's going on in the world today with the Federal Reserve System? Well, that is what's going on today, is that process that I've described, in which the government and the Federal Reserve, which really are essentially the same thing right now, they like to pretend like they're independent. They pretend like the government is controlling the Federal Reserve. But in truth, if you understand the way the Federal Reserve Charter, the Federal Reserve Act is written, if you read that amazing document, you'll find that the government has absolutely no control over the activities of the Federal Reserve System. The Fed is completely independent. It can create as many of these new dollars as it wishes. They can determine its own asset ratios. It can determine what's required in reserves. They can require what type of assets are used to justify increasing loans, basing them on those assets and so forth. Completely independent. The only power that the government really has over the Fed is to abolish it. They can, they created it through an act of Congress, and they can uncreate it. But they don't think that's going to happen soon, folks, because all of these people are beholden to this creature. Their jobs depend upon it. A lot of them are getting kickbacks. They're getting favors from the banking system. And they know that if they came against the banking system, why a lot of the newspapers, which are owned by the bankers or influenced by the bankers, because don't forget these newspapers have huge debts to the banks, and they depend on credit to the banks. And if the banks cut them off, the newspapers will collapse. So the banks sit at the top of this apex of monetary power. And nobody's in business or in government is going to challenge the banking system seriously, because if they do, they'll be knocked out of the ring, and they know it. So it's not going to happen that Congress is going to abolish the Federal Reserve System unless and until people like myself and you and others in what we like to call the alternative media now, unless those people get really busy and get the word out to the public, which is really being messed up. I mean, the public has no inkling of this, and it's not an accident that they don't know about this, because the media is not telling them, and it's not about to tell them for the reasons which I've just outlined. So now, I wander always, but I come back to the core question: what's going on in the world today with the Federal Reserve? The Fed, in my view at least, I think they feel that we're in the final stages of whatever the changeover will be from the old system to what they like to call the new system. They sometimes refer to it as the new world order. And we've been moving in that direction, of course, inch by inch for many, many years. But now I think they feel that they're close enough to it that they actually can make the complete change. They're going to break down whatever's left of the old system. And they're using a lot of different things to do that at the same time. Is to just crash everything, because out of the ashes they can build it, and people won't object. Now, if you just said, I want to change the system to one of total control over you folks, I want you to depend on the state for everything, your food, your shelter, your education, everything, and people are going to say, no way, no, you're not going to do that. But if all of a sudden you don't have bread on the table and you can't pay your rent, and you're being forced out, you have to live under the bridge, and you're being attacked by something you think is a horrible pandemic, and everything is falling to pieces, and maybe you're going to have a foreign war, and God only knows, there are all kinds of things dumping on you. Finally, you're in a state of total despair, and your resources are gone. You're on your knees, and you're begging for food and shelter. Now you're not thinking about, what does the Constitution say about that? Nobody thinks about laws or rights, human rights or anything. They're worried about survival. And this is how the game is played. And most people don't realize that. They think this is science fiction or something. This is real. And so that's what's going on. I've been talking around it, but I'll come back to it one more time. What's going on with the Federal Reserve? The Federal Reserve and the banking fraternity is really at the core of all of this. If you trace it to those roots I was talking about. And they intend to do more than banking. They have turned their banking powers, the power of money, they've turned that into a weapon to change the system from what we used to enjoy as the freest system in the world to one that first has become one of the most corrupt of the world, and now is rapidly decaying, if we don't stop it, into one of the most oppressive in the world. And at that point, money won't be so important anymore. You see, the real end game is not money, it's power. The only reason money is of any value to anybody is because with money you can get power over others. But if you have total power, then you don't need money. And sometimes I'm asked, well, what is this going toward if they have their way? What will it look like? And the best analogy I can think of, and now mind you, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just going on the basis of what I can see, and I've done a lot of reading of history lately, and it looks to me like we're going into something which is best described as the military society, the military world. All of you that have been in the military, you understand that your position in the military isn't how much money you make. It's how much authority you have, how much power you have. Because if you're a general, if you're a 5-star general or a bird colonel or you've got rank, I mean, you're provided with the finest housing you can get. All your food is there. You've got a chauffeur to drive you around in a limousine. You don't need money, brother, if you're at the top of the military pole. You can travel anywhere in the world at the finest aircraft that money can buy. You don't have to pay for it. Taxpayers pay for it, and so forth. So, but you have to obey. The minute you step out of line and you don't follow orders, you're in the brig. Or if you're really a bad boy, you wind up against the wall and you're shot. Now, that's the way the military works, and this is the best description I can think of the kind of a society that these people want. They will be the generals. They will be the colonels. They'll be admirals and so forth. And you and I will be maybe corporals or privates or sergeants if we're really good and we follow orders and we serve the upper echelon very well. We might even get to be a lieutenant. And so everybody's trying to climb that ladder, and they do that by following orders to the T. Don't question it. Yes, sir. No, sir. No questions. To do or die. And that's it. Don't question the morality of anything. You get an order, you do it. And that's the kind of a society. And if you begin to balk, all of a sudden you're out. You're in bad shape if you're not following orders in the military. So that's where we're headed, unfortunately. And I think that if the American people don't wake up really soon, we're going to wind up there.
That was a whole lot there to unravel for folks who may be new to some of this. And last night, Ed, I actually had used some of your research in my presentation called Funny Money, the past, present, and future of finance. And it's very poignant in how you talked about the true objectives of the Federal Reserve. Even originally, it was to stop the erosion of power from New York and eliminate those small banks that had their own gold and were printing their own money. And so they wanted to be able to have that power to do that there, right? So again, it was all about power. And then they wanted to eliminate the private capital formation and make sure that if you needed to borrow money, then you had to go borrow it from them and pay their interest rates back, right?
That's it. Mm-hmm.
And then the final one was the game of the bailout. And we've seen this bailout happen in 2008, 2009. Now we're seeing it now with the $2 trillion bailout and another $6 trillion potentially, bailout. And that money's going through all these bureaucracies within the government, which, a lot of that money's maybe not even going to go to where, quote unquote, it was supposed to go. And it's really disheartening to sort of see this system crumble. And you just said, if the American public doesn't wake up soon, we're going to be stuck in this sort of authoritarian dystopia. How do we wake people up, and how do we stop this boulder from rolling? Because it seems like it's gaining steam.
Well, it is gaining speed, and the how is always the big question. We know how. But we don't know how to do the how, if I may put that in perspective. First of all, the American people, not all of them, but a good core of them, at least 3%. That's a lot of people. But all we need is 3% who are opinion leaders, who are leaders in their own right. Now, I'm not talking about the gum-chewing public that doesn't care about anything. They just don't care. They don't want to be bored with these conversations. They will always follow the leaders. No matter which side wins, they'll say, oh, I was always on that side. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the 3% of the population that make a difference in the world, always have. History is always written by those 3%. If we could just reach 3% of the people who are doers, who are the shakers, who express their opinions, people who have influence over other groups of people, the ones who are leaders of organizations, Kiwanis clubs, church organizations, PTA, that kind of thing. And of course, go up the ladder and you get into the more important organizations, political parties, universities, media centers, and so forth. The human race travels in herds, and they always have leaders. And it's the way the system is built. It's the way humans are built. Most animals, as a matter of fact, at least in the mammal class, they have leaders. They have the lead cow, so to speak. I remember when I was a kid, I was learning about these things on my uncle's farm down in Ohio. The cattle always had this same lead cow. And when that cow got sick and taken out of the field for a little while, there was another one that stepped up, and all of a sudden they all recognized that was the lead cow. And when then that cow decided it was time to go back to the barn, all the rest of the cows followed. Well, humans are a lot like that. We've always got to have a lead cow, so to speak. And that's why we have our leaders. We're going to vote for some great leader, and then we'll follow the leader. Well, our enemies figured this out a long time ago. That's how they control the masses with so few people, that 3% I'm talking about. All they need to do is to make sure that all of those 3% are leading a herd in some way. And that's how they do the whole thing. So now we know that while we don't have to reach everybody on the planet, not by a long shot. If we could reach 3% of the people who are potential leaders or existing leaders who have influence in their families and in their communities, and they understood this, then we're ready to talk about how we break it. And that second how, first how is, of course, to spread the word to that 3%. Then the second how is, what do those 3% do? How do they influence the outcome? And that is simply by moving into the power centers of society and becoming influential in them, so they will be the lead cow in all of these groups and organizations. And that, now we're finally talking about politics. Now we get these people out of Congress and out of the Senate and out of these official positions in government who are all there to be predators on the human race. They're not there to protect us or to help us. They're there to rake in as much as they can and gain as much money and power as they can. And they always have to pretend like it's for our good. But we know it's just it's a con game is basically what politics has become. So
it seems like they're on both sides of the aisle, too. It's not just one side.
You better believe it's both sides of the aisle. Yes, we might come back to that. We must come back to that, because if we don't understand that, we don't understand the tactics that are being used against us. So I just want to repeat that last thing I said, is the first thing we have to spread the word to reach 3%. Mm-hmm. That's how we begin. But then how we actually make it happen is that 3% has to get off of their couches and out into the organizations that make things happen.
You wanted to say off their asses. I know you did, but couches is fine. Let me ask you this then, because, when the Fed lowered the rates to nearly zero, they did it on a Sunday, which was really bizarre. There are some that would theorize, perhaps conspiratorial, that was intended to crash the economy, that if they would have done it slower, that it wouldn't have been so dramatic. But so there's a question there. But the second part of it is, people are also saying that there's almost a merging of the U.S. Treasury and the Fed, and that, at least functionally speaking, the president is the chairman now. What do you make of all that?
Pure propaganda.
Okay, so
it's false hope. I mean, we're living in an age right now, we might come back to that too later, but one of the things that our opponent is really good at is feeding us little things that are false hope, so we'll lower our guard and quit worrying about it. It's called controlled opposition. And first of all, anybody that thinks that the president is controlling the Fed doesn't know anything about the Fed. But I've read that in the newspapers, yeah. And I've read it in mainstream newspapers. Now that should tell you something right there. It's a universal theme that's coming out in all of the same sources, news sources that have been feeding us the lies all of these years. So that should be a little bit of a warning there. Doesn't mean it's necessarily false, but it's how come all of these people that have been so careful about protecting us from the truth all of these years is suddenly telling us something that is true? But beyond that, the Fed controls the president. The president does not control the Fed. Now it's true, and this gets a little complicated, because the Fed and the president does name the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, right? But where does he get that name? Can you think of any president I don't know of any presidents that I'm aware of, actually, all the way back maybe to as far as Jefferson, where the president even knew. I mean, I'm going way too far, because the Fed didn't come into existence till 1913. But let's go all the way back to 1913. We don't have to go back to Jefferson. We go back to Wilson or whatever it was. Can you think of any president that even knew the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board that they nominated? Maybe Wilson, but after that, no. where does the president get these names that he said, I'm going to nominate so-and-so as the chairman of the Federal Reserve? Well, he gets those names from his supporters, his financial supporters, his donors, and the ones who write the biggest checks, which is the bankers. Secondarily would be the pharmaceutical industry. And the third would be the armaments industry, the military armaments and industrial complex. Those are the three largest sources of paychecks that go to the president's candidacy for his campaign. And in order for any candidate to get the support that he needs to be elected, he has to make deals with the powers that be. He has to make a deal, and he has to agree up ahead of time. All right, if I'm elected president, yes, sir, to get your $20 million or $50 million, you bet I would be very happy to consider any candidate that you would submit as a good choice for the chairman of the Federal Reserve. You bet I would. Thank you very much for that offer. So when these guys get elected, they got this list already presented to them of who they are obligated to appoint to these important positions: Supreme Court, Federal Reserve, all the rest.
So it's the good old boy network.
It is the good old boy network. And I think people should be able to understand that, because you can see that in your local politics as well. So the idea that the president controls the Federal Reserve chairman is absurd. He doesn't even know this guy. And the Federal Reserve chairman doesn't control anything either. He represents the cartel. He is he's been elected or appointed by the cartel to be their spokesperson. And the real power lies behind that in the banks themselves, the big megalithic banks. And that is pretty hard to penetrate.
Or is it even the trustees or the owners of those banks who've bought influence in every single industry, including media and everywhere? It seems like their tentacles are everywhere.
They are. Well, it's because the flow of money goes everywhere. And when the pipe is really big and a lot of money is flowing through it, the source of that pipe is a bank. So then that money goes out into the economy, and especially into the corporations that need loans, multi-million-dollar loans to build some kind of a project or a building or something. Where are they going to get that money? They got to get it from the banks. So now they, in return for that, getting the loan at a good interest rate, they have to make a deal. One of the deals is, well, surely, we'll take one of your bank board members and we'll put them on our board of directors. If you look at the board of directors of the largest corporations in America, you'll find an appalling number of bank presidents and bank board members on other board members. It's an interlocking directorate. It looks like a spider web. I've seen some of these charts that people have done, and it repels you because you can't follow all the lines. It's a spider web. But if you force yourself to go and look at the names in those little circles, why, I'm going to guess, well, I won't even guess, but a huge number, probably more than 50% of them in that area at least, are banks. And the ones that aren't the banks are in institutions that are dependent on the banks. And if you follow that one through, you find total control of the whole system by the banks. So we're living in a system of the banks, by the banks, and for the banks. And these people literally have captured control of our government. People are familiar with the phrase, what is it, something capture, regulatory capture. Now we see that in the papers a lot. Well, I wonder if this is regulatory capture, just because the CEO of a large pharmaceutical company, what do you know? He's been appointed to be the head of the Food and Drug Administration. Now, isn't that interesting?
Or when Dick Cheney became the vice president and he was the head of Halliburton, and then all of a sudden Halliburton got these billions of dollars after 9/11, and it was just, if you were paying attention to that and you saw that, you're like, wait a second, this is some corrupt stuff going on in real time. So hold on a second here, Mr. Griffin. We got just a couple of minutes left. Maybe we can wrap up around the both sides of the aisle, because I think most people still believe that it's like sports. It's my team versus your team, and they don't realize that we're all fighting one team, and so that's a little bit crazy. And then maybe talk a little bit about Red Pill University before we wrap up.
Well, I think your analogy of the team is very good. What they don't realize is that both teams have the same owner, and that's the solution to that one. It reminds me of my my grandmother back in the earliest days of television. We had a little TV set about this big in our living room. My grandmother, she would sit there, and in the afternoon she'd watch pro wrestling, and she took those wrestling matches very seriously. And of course, I was just a kid, but even I could see that it was, you know, rigged. That the guy that came out with the swastika on his arm and the beard and the ugly face and the broken tooth and everything and the black shorts, he was going to lose to the guy that was wearing the American flag, had his hair combed, and big blue eyes and a big smile on his face. I knew which one was going to win because you could just tell the way they dressed. But my grandmother was rooting, of course, for the guy with the American flag. But they had to slam each other. That's the point I'm getting to. That would not have worked unless those two wrestlers really hurt each other. They had, or appeared to, they had to slam each other hard. Sometimes they throw them out of the ring and down into the chairs, and you had to know that hurt. But that was part of the profession. Afterwards, I know they went back in the locker room and said, "Boy, that was a good fight. Boy, well, when I came out of there, boy, you really threw me. Thanks, buddy. You saved me, you know, from hurting myself." They're both owned by the same company, both of those wrestlers. Now, we turn to politics. What people don't recognize is that both political parties are dominated by people who are members of the Council on Foreign Relations and the banking industry. Follow the money, folks. Follow the power, and you'll find it's a very small group behind both parties. They put on a good
That's
show.
a huge red pill right there. And Ed, I want to leave on that note because I want people to go search further. This is your website, redpilluniversity.org. And boy, there's a lot of great content that you've got on here. You're always publishing articles, and I believe you've got the a member site on here as well that people can join.
Yeah, this is more than just getting information. This is getting on the team to do something about it. You know, I mentioned before the two hows. First, you've got to get people informed, and then you've got to get them activated. And the purpose of this site is to do both. So yes, I thank you for bringing that up. redpilluniversity.org.
Absolutely.
Is a place to learn and a place to act.
And if you haven't read Creature from Jekyll Island yet, pick up a copy because this is just touching the tip of a very, very deep iceberg. G. Edward Griffin, what a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks again for coming here and doing a brain dump. We know there's so much more up there.
We could talk about it for a couple of hours. It could just be the virtual G. Edward Griffin week.
Well, let's just hope I don't scare too many people away. But folks, I don't care what you think. Somebody asks me what I think, I tell them what it is, and that's, you have to evaluate as good or bad. I think it's true, unfortunately, but it's not all pessimism. We can change this, but we can't change it just talking about it. We have to do something about it.
G. Edward Griffin, we salute you, good sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your patriotism.
You're awesome.
And your
Thank you so much.
information.
Great honor.
Bye-bye.
Good stuff right there, Mr. Travis Wright.
I mean, he's an inspiration. I mean, if you've gone down that rabbit hole and read that book, and that's when I became first, you know, really aware of what's going on in the world, when I realized that the Federal Reserve Bank was neither federal nor reserve. Paper money was just printed out of thin air, and you could make a $100 bill for 6 cents, and somehow we're still broke. And I learned that in the year 2000. And so it's just really, it's been a very interesting time. Like, I think it's one of the reasons why I've not really enjoyed the financial blessings of the stock market, because once I realized that money and the system was rigged, I was expecting it to crash. Like, who knows when it was going to crash. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I've always been very tempted. I've always had this hate with money because I know that it's fraudulent. And it's one reason why I really love cryptocurrency, because it's like, it's decentralized. There are no evil bankers who are controlling it.
Nope, that doesn't mean everybody in crypto is good either, but the blockchain in itself is amoral, you know, and so like anything else, it's how we as humans use that technology. Hey, everybody, we're going to roll right along here. We've got another speaker waiting in the wings, and you're going to absolutely adore her. But before we bring her on, just want to encourage you to please share this live stream. You know, post on social media, use Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever it is. If you're on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever, grab a quick video of the screen, say, oh, come and watch this with me, guys. And if you're on Facebook, start a watch party. There's no better tool that Facebook has than when you go underneath the video, you'll see a little start a watch party button. That'll notify more more of your friends than if you just do a regular share or a regular post. It tells them, oh, I'm watching this. Do you want to watch this with your friend?
It's a great tool, and it's a great way to sort of share the message. If you're tuning in and you're watching this right now, this is something you're passionate about, you're wanting to learn about. You want to have more crypto and blockchain buddies out there to be able to connect with and share information, because I've been on the other side when you're learning about crypto, but then you have no crypto buddies. Luckily now I got one great crypto buddy named Mr. Joe Com. And so that's fun and exciting, but some people don't have any crypto buddies, which is another reason why we have that sort of VIP event and networking, is to reach out and to connect with awesome people in the space and learn and make new friends, because that can be a support system for you to help you in your journey of education.
I like blockchain buddies better than crypto buddies. Crypto community and blockchain buddies. Travis, would you like to introduce our next speaker?
Let me pull up the bio here for sure. Unless you have it handy. Hold on a second here. Oh, there it is. Hold on. I opened up all kinds of windows.
How many windows you got open? All the time.
I had all kinds of windows because because G. Edward was saying things and I was like, oh, okay, hold on.
I got to go down that rabbit hole.
I gotta go. Yeah, I'll go down that later. So I opened up a few tabs. So Alyze Sam is a refreshing blockchain strategist, a novel educator, and a vehemently driven advocate. After dedicating her life to patients and hospice nursing, Sam branched out to financial technology. After overcoming incredible odds with vigor and passion, her life goals include serving her community and assisting other underdogs in achieving their dreams. She is the chief executive assistant for Give Nation, a nonprofit children's financial literacy blockchain project. And she encourages altruism. And she's the community director at the World Ethical Data Forum and the founder community manager for Women in Blockchain International. And in her free time, she writes for 15 tech publications. And I think she sleeps sometimes. I'm not sure. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week, Alyze Sam.
Hey, you.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yes, the crowd is going nuts. And I'm going to put one little addendum on that introduction, because you are like the heart of blockchain. You are one of those people. Yeah, there it is. You are one of those people that brings real connection and real caring for people to blockchain. You're not the only one, but you're an amazing lady. And I know you've got a presentation that you want to share. So we're going to turn it over to you and say, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much.
And maybe turn up your speaker, your mic just a little bit, because you're soft spoken to begin with and we want to hear you.
Yeah, I know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm sorry. All right, let's share screen. I was watching Reyna and I saw she couldn't share screen either, so I don't feel so bad. There we go. Can you see me?
We see your whole screen.
Do you? Good. Yeah. Okay, then I guess we're ready.
Yeah.
Maybe. If I can get this thing out of the way. There we go. All right, now we are actually ready. All right, gentlemen, thank you. All right, I am seeking a stable economy. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I am doing. With COVID-19, there is a lot of issues and a lot of people are looking to the experts and asking them what's going to happen with the economy. Maybe we have an answer within cryptocurrency. Who knows? This presentation is by me. I am the co-founder of Give Nation and Women in Blockchain International. Thank you so much for joining. So here we go. Sam I am. Fun fact, I like vegan green eggs and ham. So I am actually a hospice and home health nurse with a focus in mental health nursing. I spent 12 years of my life next to the dying. And then one day I was stopped at a red light and I was hit by a semi truck out of nowhere. And it completely changed my life. I have metal all down my back, and this is a metal plate all the way across here. And I have shattered bones throughout my body. So obviously nursing was not going to work out. So I was actually interested in cryptocurrency. I had found Bitcoin and I thought it was wonderful. So not being able to work as a nurse, I was like, well, that's interesting. Maybe I will pull all out and go into Bitcoin and Ethereum. I did that in 2016, early. And so then my husband and I, we got pregnant and I almost died again. I got diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum and I lost 70 pounds, but I was already very small. I went from a 400-pound woman to a 120-pound woman at 5'10". And then with HG, I got down to 88 pounds and I fought for my life. And you can see some photos there of me in the hospital. And the blockchain community was there for me. They were supporting me. You guys were loving me the entire time. So now I'm here to bring value. And my blockchain related resume includes being the co-founder of Give Nation, as we said, and Women in Blockchain International. And then I'm the chief marketing officer and advisor for PAC Global. And I published the first book on stablecoins, and it is going to now be re-released as a university text, and the pre-release is on Amazon right now. So you can support my work the last almost 6 years of my life, I guess, and join me on that mission. Now, let's talk about stablecoins. What is the definition of a stablecoin? Well, a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that is pegged to another asset, or it's a digital currency with a fungible asset. Cryptocurrencies have many case uses because they allow for secure and convenient transactions without the notorious volatility of traditional cryptocurrencies that you would find like in Bitcoin and Ethereum or otherwise. Oh, how pretty. There's my stablecoins. Stablecoin history. The stablecoin, you guys may have seen Brock Pierce last night. Not only is he fantastic, he joined us last minute. Thank you so much for reaching out. And he is the inventor of stablecoins. He's actually the first person that I gave my digital book to. So thank you so much for accepting that and coming to one of my events. You're amazing. And he helped produce the 2012 white paper for the Mastercoin. The founders claimed that the protocol would allow for binding of cryptocurrencies to a stable traditional asset. A lot of people think that stablecoins are controversy in the cryptocurrency realm. Why? You know, they don't have that decentralization. They don't feel that freedom that we all want to experience. But stablecoins offer the benefits of a cryptocurrency, including cryptographic security and the ability to transfer assets digitally with speedy transactions when fiat is required. Now, what makes a stablecoin a stablecoin? We need to note the stability found within here. One is auditability. Do users have access to audit the systems that the financial fundamentals to confirm this collateral? What is backed? Where is it at? Can you confirm that? You need to know the collateralization. Is it to offer the asset to surety that the debt is going to be repaid? If you buy the stablecoin, are you going to get what it's backed by? You need to know that. The fallback methods. If this entire thing goes crashing down, what are you going to do? What's going to happen to your investments? Where are they going to go? The growth, that stablecoin, whatever it's backed by, that ecosystem, does it have the potential to become more valuable, or are you just a sitting duck? The maintenance, the ecosystem loses efficiency with high overhead costs, including excessive fees, and it's going to make the market fluctuate more. So you need to consider that. Excuse me. Pegging. That, ladies and gentlemen, is only a financial term. That's where we're going to stop right there. Stablecoins are often pegged to an entity. Investotopia defines this term as a central bank open market operations meant to stabilize its country's currency to that of another country by fixing its exchange rates. You also need to consider redeemability. Are users freely able to redeem their tokens in exchange for the underlying assets? You guys remember maybe a couple of years ago where there was question about the most famous stablecoin, Tether, where it was only backed 74%. If everybody went in at once, Are those people going to get their tokens? Absolutely not. You need to know about that redeemability. So the stabilization methods. Why is this a sound investment? What are the underlying reasons there? And then we need to also discuss transparency. Are the ledgers open and viewable by users? Because trust is a big factor, especially within the cryptocurrency industry. Now, let's discuss the different types of stable coins here. Now, the fiat collateralized stable coins are obviously the most popular. You guys have heard about them everywhere. A lot of people always mention Tether because it is actually the #1 traded cryptocurrency ever right now. And so it's also the fiat crypto, the fiat stablecoin backed cryptocurrencies are obviously the most basic type. The token is a 1-to-1 cryptocurrency backed by a US dollar or yen or whatever local currency exists. The stablecoins are created when the fiat is held by a centralized user, and then it's destroyed when the fiat asset is received. So you'll buy a stablecoin, and then when you redeem it, that number completely goes away, which is excellent and unlike fiat currency. So, and then you've got, excuse me, and then you've got crypto-backed stable coins. And those are absolutely fantastic because a lot of people hate the volatility that happens within cryptocurrency. Well, a stable coin that is backed by more than one cryptocurrency, if it's backed by a basket of stable or cryptocurrencies, there is way less volatility factors in there. And so a lot of people are thinking that those are good investments. Now, commodity backed. They kind of started as gold stable coins, honestly. You saw a lot of articles after about 2013 and 14 that talked about that. And a lot of people were interested in backing gold because gold has always been a popular commodity. But that's not the only thing that you can back with a stable coin. You can also do corn, oil, wheat, diamonds. It's endless. So it's usually a one stable coin back to, and then usually an ounce of gold or so on and so forth. Now, algorithmic stable coins are super special and they're extremely interesting if you want to go down a rabbit hole. So these are the actually only non-collateralized stable coins, and they are fantastic because they are algorithmically governed to approach expanding and contracting cryptocurrency's money supply. So basically you're messing with smart contracts and data and all sorts of things. There has not actually been a stable coin, an algorithmic stable coin that has had a great case use yet, and that's been very successful. But there are a lot of projects that we expect good things to come from. Stablecoin uses, because when everybody says, well, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I wrote the first book on stablecoin. They say, well, that sucks for you. Well, that's actually not true, guys. Come on, Tether is the most traded cryptocurrency, so you can hate all you want. But stablecoins have really amazing uses. They have performance measurement, and then you can use them as remittance because all of you, if you want to use them as a stop loss method, you can think about it. You can get you can go into Bitcoin. If it starts dipping, you don't want those transaction fees. You don't want to dip out. So you can just buy a stable coin and there's very few fees there as opposed to like getting off of Coinbase or Gemini or otherwise. They're also good in dApps, store of value. They hold medium exchanges. There's a new project out called Hold Commodity. They are absolutely cool. Check them out. They are completely decentralized and censored. Amazing. Unit of account, that is absolutely a stablecoin use. And then pegged lending, and people are saying that these are the new synthetic gold. So they're quite exciting. You should learn about them. Now, that kind of concludes everything. I get a lot of hate because a lot of people in cryptocurrency say, Sam, why would you waste your life? Why would you want to, preach education about something that is backed by fiat currency, which is what we're trying to get away with? You guys have to be really open-minded here. Think about this. JP Morgan is launching a stable coin. Facebook is launching a stable coin. Right now, we can teach these people what a stable coin is, and then we can teach them what exists within a decentralized economy. So are stable coins a gateway to a decentralized tomorrow? I don't know. You can actually read my book, The Stablecoin Economy, and you can download it on Amazon today. And I recommend that you do so because my mentor, the guy that I mentor, Kusha, he's 17 years old. He's done my visuals. He's been right there beside me. He gets the proceeds to this book. He is fantastic. And he works with me here at Give Nation. And we absolutely love him. And then last but not least, Bad Crypto Dudes, my buddies, the loves of my life. Thank you guys. They are letting me, yay. They're letting me do whatever I want because that's what I do anyway, which is bring value. And not only do we bring value by empowering your children and providing financial literacy, but we also throw the best parties in the entire world. I need the crowd to go wild. Perfect. So yeah, join us for the VIP party. Crazy Bones is coming. There are guests from Home Improvement coming. Yeah, we've got all.
Wait. Who's one of the actors from Home Improvement is coming to the party?
I told you Zachary Ty Bryan wanted to dance in karaoke with us.
I just wanted you to announce it. Which one was he on the show? Was he the youngest?
No, he was the oldest.
The oldest one. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, Zach.
Yeah, that was rude. I said, why aren't you Jonathan Taylor Thomas? But
oh, JTT, yeah. Alyze, thank you so much. This is, everybody go grab a copy of her stablecoin book on Amazon. What's the title again?
It is Stablecoin Economy.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate you. Thanks for speaking, and thanks for helping put on the after party for the VIPs.
Yes. So upgrade your VIP tickets now because it goes to a good cause. So thank you guys for putting up with me and everything.
Great job.
And I think the three of us are gonna announce pretty big news at that after party. So they really need to upgrade, right?
Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks, Sam.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Hard eyes for Sam. She's the best. So smart. Travis, we have so many brilliant women that are on tonight. This is like, it is going to be a female dominated evening for day 2 of Virtual Blockchain Week, coming out of the woodwork.
That is true. But before we go on to our next amazing speaker, let's give a shout out to Cred. Cred, you can create a custom .cred domain and link it to any social account or website, like a .com. I believe you have Joel.cred. Yeah,
I do have Joel.cred. Yeah.
I do not have Travis.cred. I'm not sure. I'll get one eventually. I'm gonna get because I need some cred. And you can connect your digital wallet to it as well, creating a memorable address. Find influencers, import, score, and engage your most influential contacts with the Cred Influencer CRM that they have, which is a new innovation, I believe. Register your digital assets on the blockchain as interactive, non-fungible tokens. I believe they're helping us out with the NFTs for this conference. Good stuff. Your custom NFTs can easily be transferred and shared, engaging your community. Find Cred on the Virtual Blockchain website. Just click on that blue sponsor button, scroll on down until you see .cred, and then give them a click. Go check them out. NFTs are the future, and there are some of the ones that are out there leading the charge on that good stuff. So it's awesome.
Absolutely. So thanks to all our sponsors, and thank you that are watching, and click on that sponsor button and go see what they're up to, because that will make them happy as well. And we want everybody to be happy. It's one big happy. And speaking of happy to bring our next speaker to you. We've had the pleasure of interviewing her on Bad Crypto probably a year or so ago. And of course, the world has changed dramatically here. Caitlin Long is her name. She's a 22-year Wall Street veteran. She's been active in Bitcoin and blockchain since, get this, 2012. That is some OG stuff. She lives in Wyoming, and she's been one of the ones to help lead the charge to make the state an oasis for blockchain companies, to really spur innovation. She's here to join us now. She's going to be talking about how the macro environment helps crypto adoption. So everybody out there, just stand up and cheer and give a warm virtual blockchain week welcome to Ms. Caitlin Long. Hi, Caitlin.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, good to see you again.
Howdy, good to see you again too. This is a great event you're putting on. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for participating. I love the Mustangs there behind you.
Yeah.
Are they Mustangs?
Little Wyoming theme. They are. It's done by a local artist, and some of you might have recognized. I used to have this in my background back when I lived in the New York area, and now the Mustangs came back to Wyoming with me. So.
Well, I drive a Mustang, so I immediately recognize them from my steering column.
There you go.
We're going to let you take it away. I know you've got a presentation you want to share, and then we're going to come back and probably have a couple questions for you. So go for it.
Sounds good. But the title of my talk is How the Macro Environment Helps Crypto Adoption. And I'll go for about 20 minutes, then do some Q&A. First of all, this is not investment advice, and it's also not speaking on behalf of my new company, Avanti. I'll give you 5 points about the macro environment that will help, I think, put into perspective what we're facing and the historical implication of crypto. First of all, the virus was the pin that pricked the credit bubble. The virus isn't the problem itself. It's obviously a tremendous human tragedy. It's affected my family, so though luckily my relatives have recovered. But the bigger issue is that it was the pin that finally pricked the credit bubble. That credit bubble has been building in the Western world for more than 5 decades. And multiple times, the free market attempted to reassert itself, and prick that bubble. And when the debt inflations happened, the central banks of the world were always able to reinflate. And the reason they were always able to reinflate, and this is what the Austrian economists got wrong when they were predicting hyperinflation as early as the 70s when the dollar went off the gold standard, and then again in multiple events, including 2008 when the Fed expanded its balance sheet, we didn't see the dollar collapse. And the reason is because there was plenty of balance sheets still left over to absorb the new debt issuance that was used to reinflate the system at the time. It's not clear whether we are at the end of that rope yet, or whether we will, the Fed will be able to reinflate. I suspect it's going to take a lot to reinflate. And just to put into perspective, the fiscal and monetary stimulus now is about $7 trillion. Just in the last 2 years alone, in the United States, non-financial sector debt ballooned by $7.5 trillion. So essentially, what's happened is we've backfilled essentially for the debt that was issued in the last 2 years at the peak of the credit bubble, where pretty much I would venture to guess virtually none of that $7.5 trillion of debt that was borrowed in the last 2 years in the United States actually produced anything of real value. A lot of it, as we know, went to finance stock buybacks and the like at inflated prices. And so leading now to number 2, if the virus was the pin that pricked the credit bubble, what does that mean about the credit contraction that we're seeing and the hole that has to be backfilled by that debt that's gone away because it's literally defaulted or implicitly defaulting as the private sector is contracting the total amount of credit that it's providing, and governments, including central banks, are backfilling for that hole. What it means is that there was a massive amount of bad investment that was latent and just hadn't become evident yet to those who were watching in the economy. And the thing that to me is the most persuasive about the Austrian view of the world is the notion that entire industries make the same economic calculation error at the same time in the same direction. And we're seeing that in especially the oil and shale industries this time around. We saw it in the housing industry in 2008. How is it that a lot of really smart people end up making the same economic calculation error in the same direction at the same time? And the answer is because they're taking bad signals from the market. They're not stupid. They look at their math and it looks like the projects that they're looking to invest in actually will generate a positive economic return. In other words, a return greater than their cost of capital. What they missed is that their cost of capital is actually a lot higher than what the market said it is. In the impact, in the face of all that, until we really know what the free market and interest rates are going to set the price of borrowing money, one of the interesting incentives that we have is to focus on shorter term projects, shorter term investment projects with shorter term payback periods, and also to focus on what a lot of us in this industry are doing, which is to build alternative financial infrastructure that's not burdened by the history of the latent default and latent capital misallocation, the sins of the past, so to speak. So that brings me to my third macro point, which is that these kind of environments are really just restructurings. We shouldn't be afraid of the word bankruptcy. It's actually a really integral part of capitalism, but it doesn't necessarily mean the companies go away. It's actually a period of time when the factors of production in the economy move from weak hands, who know how to, or who've destroyed economic value with those factors of production, to strong hands, people who actually know how to generate real economic wealth in the face of in the hands of those factors of production. And we need those sorts of restructurings. My fourth point is that there's a lot of populism criticizing those who misallocated capital, but I'm going to defend them, and maybe in a little unpopular position here, and say that the system was designed in such a way that the incentive was to lever up balance sheets and not pay attention to solvency anymore. And I think you're seeing that, right? A lot of the publicly traded companies that are now running for bailouts to Congress and the Fed were those who bought their stock back at higher prices. They absolutely had an incentive to do that. It absolutely in the old system. Well, again, we don't know if we're moving to a new paradigm yet, but certainly in the old system, the incentive was to lever up and buy back stock and strip capital and literally hollow out the solvency of the system. That is a function of the fact that the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. And if you've been following me on Twitter, you've noted that I've actually been doing some history reading. There was a French finance minister who called the dollar, being the world's reserve currency, the exorbitant privilege. And what we're seeing is exactly as he predicted in the 1960s, that what would happen is that the dollar would be over demanded as use as a currency in trade. And so there would be a natural short position that builds up in the dollar because there's a shortage of natural dollars out there, right? The dollar is used by a lot more than just the US economy, it's used globally. And as a result of responding to that shortage, that there would be an overissue of it, and eventually its value would not be sustained. We're not there yet. But I think we're witnessing the pressures there, that the dollar shortage that we're experiencing right now is acute. It seems counterintuitive because the Burr meme indicates that obviously there's been a lot of dollars created to try to backfill that hole. But by the same token, the size of the short position in the US dollar is just staggering in size. So far, we haven't actually seen any of the negative implications, at least directly to the dollar's value. In fact, the opposite is true. And I do believe that the dollar is going to encounter a short squeeze of staggering proportions, even more so than we're experiencing now. And then the overreaction to that is ultimately where the real problem lies. And that leads me to my last of my 5 points, which is that I think at this point, given that balance sheets hadn't mattered, they will start mattering again at some point in the near future. It's probably, if it's not now, it's during the next crisis that follows, where the balance sheet gets totally used up. And therefore, here's the punchline: we want to understand what assets we own that are nobody else's IOU. One of the interesting things about the crypto industry, as you know, is that they are naturally equity-based assets. They are no one's IOU if you own your own private keys. It's the same thing as you owning the deed to real estate. It's the same thing as you owning the actual physical gold bar. Those are assets that are no one else's IOUs. But you do have to be careful, because a big percentage of the total market value of the crypto industry is IOUs or is backed by IOUs. Namely, if you look at the volume of crypto assets that trade, well over a third of them every day are stablecoins that are backed by IOUs. The stablecoins themselves are not IOUs. They are equity-based assets, but the assets backing them are IOUs. And also the Bitcoin and Ether, Nick Carter did an estimate that about 25% of the outstanding Bitcoin and Ether is custodied. And so effectively those are IOUs as well. So if you take nothing away from this talk, it is look at your own balance sheet and understand what assets you own that are somebody's IOU and what assets you own that you own outright. Because I think it hasn't mattered, to my previous point, the incentive was to lever up balance sheets, but I do believe balance sheets are going to start mattering again. And in that environment, that's when assets such as crypto assets that are nobody else's IOU become very valuable. Let me close by saying, as a result of these 5 points I just laid out, I'm going to give the crypto industry a challenge, which is that we have no clue whether the exchanges and custodians in this industry are actually solvent. There is so little disclosure of the balance sheet composition. Almost nobody's audited. And even if they were, audit standards probably wouldn't catch a lot of the rehypothecation of assets. That's why, for example, in the mainstream financial services industry, some financial institutions, well, they all look like they're solvent, right? But if you were to strip out all the double counting of assets that the accounting system allows, you'd realize the system itself isn't solvent. We don't want that to happen to the crypto industry. And so the one thing that from a challenge perspective, that I would issue to everyone in the industry is let's clean that up. We don't want to basically just recreate another version of the same thing where the balance sheets don't matter. I, for one, would be happy to see some of the weak balance sheet players flushed out of this industry and let the strong balance sheet players who are providing valuable services and helping crypto adoption rise to the cream of the crop. Let me stop there and see if you guys have some questions.
That was great stuff there. Thank you so much, Caitlin.
Thank you. Hey,
Yeah.
You're back. Awesome.
Yeah. Now one thing that you mentioned, and it is if you take a look at a dollar,
Yeah.
and it says that this dollar is legal tender for all debts, public and private. This is not an asset. This is a debt.
Well,
right?
it's an asset. It's an asset that's someone's IOU. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It used to be backed by something real.
Yeah.
The dollar, well, originally it was silver coins.
Mhm.
That's what it is actually defined as in Article 1, Section 10 of the US Constitution. But for the last century, really, dollars have been effectively warehouse receipts. And as you know, the assets backing the dollar increasingly have been dwindled away. And so implicitly, if I tie back to one of the points I made in the presentation, the reason why why the central banks have been able to reinflate in the last several debt deflation periods where the free market tried to assert itself and acknowledge how much malinvestment there was. The reason why the central banks were able to get away with that is because there were unencumbered assets in the economy that had not yet been encumbered by a new dollar of debt, either explicitly or implicitly. And so the value of that dollar you had in your hands was literally a claim on all the unencumbered assets in the US economy. That's, well, I wouldn't say literally, it was implicitly a claim on all the unencumbered assets in the US economy. We don't know how much of that is left. It's probably not that much. And we just basically added another 7 trillion of debt in the stimulus programs.
Is that all?
Well, we'll see. Like I said, when this all started, I think 10 trillion, Doug Nolan had predicted that the Fed's balance sheet would expand by more than 10 trillion in this next crisis. He's been predicting that for a long time. Well, here we are. And the Fed's balance sheet is now north of 6 trillion. It's not above 10 trillion yet, but I think most forecasts have it going to about 10 trillion by the end of this year.
Is this going to be us soon, right here? These Zimbabwean $10 trillion notes?
Yeah, I carry one of those in my wallet as a reminder of history. I also carry an old Russian ruble that a friend gave to me in 1989. So one of the really old ones. Pre-Soviet collapse. Those help you understand economic history for sure.
Yeah, because
you made a comment about the epic short squeeze of the dollar.
Yeah.
And when this happens, and as the whole ball sort of rolls, and it's gonna be crazy. What happens when the short squeeze happens, and what does the short squeeze mean?
Well, we're experiencing it right now, right? The dollar, in spite of the fact that we've just added 7 trillion of debt explicitly onto the aggregate balance sheet of the United States, and the dollar's still rallying. Normally, you would think that the dollar would actually be correcting. Why is it rallying? Because we're such a gigantic short position in the US dollar offshore. It's mostly offshore. It's non-US borrowers who needed dollars for global trade. And that is the exorbitant privilege that the French finance minister was referring to with making the US dollar the world's reserve currency back in the 1960s. Well, it was a reserve currency before then, but basically after Bretton Woods failed and the U.S. basically started borrowing to consume more than we produced explicitly in 1968, and that's when the French finance minister was especially complaining, and he was right. The U.S. was basically living off the rest of the world because we were consuming more than we were producing, and because we had the world's reserve currency, we could afford to finance it. But eventually, the so-called Triffin dilemma, the reserve currency curse, tells you that we will eventually overissue the US dollar. And eventually there'll be more supply than there is demand. Right now, what that short squeeze is telling you is that there's more demand for dollars than there is supply. But that's not a permanent thing.
But the printer's going brr, so eventually the supply will outmatch the demand. I have a question. So you've been doing some amazing epic things there in Wyoming, and getting Wyoming to be the most blockchainiest state in all the lands. And so what are some new updates?
Excellent
there?
wordification, Mr. Travis Wright. Blockchainiest. Awesome. Yes. Good job.
Yeah. Well, we've now enacted 18 laws in the last 3 legislative sessions. And I actually have a piece of news. I don't think I've publicly announced this yet. Governor Gordon just appointed me to the new select committee on blockchain and innovation and technology in the legislature. So I'm obviously a civilian. I'm not an elected official. There are 3 civilians who will serve on that. So we retired the task force, and now a permanent committee has been formed. So yeah, so I actually tried, because as you know, I'm busy with a startup. I tried not to serve on it, but got my arm twisted by the folks in the state.
Hey, it's for the greater good. You know what? And you're moving it all forward. And you're one of those, those prolific rays of sunshine out there in the blockchain universe that's spreading the blockchain goodness. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It really is an honor to be asked to serve and to do that again. I will find the time and make the time. We're going to be looking at digital identity and strengthening the laws around digital property rights. One of the bills I didn't talk much about in my Twitter feed last legislative session. One of the bills that got passed essentially is a safe harbor for digital speech, for free speech. It's essentially that developers cannot be criminally prosecuted for merely writing code.
That sounds good to me. I mean, it's crazy the way the statutes can be abused, right?
Maybe Ross Ulbricht might like that law.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was the real example that a lot of folks pointed to is Cody Wilson. So really, if there's a crime committed, it's the use of the code in an illegal way. It's not the writing of the code in itself. And so I think you'll see Wyoming do some of those kinds of things. There are a lot of people who really care about supporting the technology industry here from a philosophical point of view. And so, yeah, this is, it'll bring the ideas my way too, by the way. I'm just a conduit from the industry bringing all these good ideas forward to the legislators who are looking for things to do to support this industry.
If people have ideas and want to reach you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Tweet them to myself and Representative Tyler Lindholm. He's the tall guy in the big cowboy hat that you've seen in a lot of the photos. And then Senator Chris Rothfuss as well. That's unbelievable bipartisan cooperation between the two of them. And it just shows, when they put their minds to work, what they can pull off.
Fantastic. Well, Caitlin, thank you so much for participating. And you guys go look her up. Of course, there's links on the page at virtualblockchainweek.com. And we're watching you. We're going to see what you're up to next, because we know the best is yet to come.
Yeah, I'm watching you guys too. This is an awesome event. I'm so glad that you put this together. It's been fun to take a break. All of us are locked in our homes. And so it's fun to take a break to do this and see everybody. I really appreciate you organizing it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being part of it.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Have a good night. Indeed. Bye. Good stuff, Mr. Travis Wright.
And that was, her presentation was spot on.
So smart. I when we got into this whole crypto realm, it's like, let's surround ourselves with people that are smarter than ourselves when it comes to blockchain. Turns out it wasn't hard to do. And now they're all popping in to speak at this event this week.
I mean, you look at the list of people who agreed to be part of this thing, it's just mind blowing. And it's just like, boom, 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 one after another, amazing mind after an amazing mind. And we got another great mind popping up here in a few moments.
Just a bit. I mean, coming up tonight still after this next speaker, we're going to have Sir John Hargrave. We're going to have Dima Buterin with Hackin. We're going to have Maureen Muray. And closing out the evening is going to be Brittany Kaiser. Oh my gosh. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell the dog. And Travis, I'm going to pull up a cool screenshot to go with what you're about to talk about here. But let's give a shout out to our sponsor, CoinGenius. Can you talk about them?
Yeah, CoinGenius. This is a project that's near and dear to my heart. I met the CEO, Jeremy Bourne, in 2016, 2017 at an event, and I was speaking at an event at the company he was working with, and we had a chance to meet. And then he came to me and said, "Hey, I got this idea about aggregating all this crypto data," and then we started having some conversations around it. He had he had a great idea, and he put together a great team, and he put together this company called CoinGenius.ai, and it's a deep insight platform that bridges the gap between legacy financial markets and the new digital economy, and it empowers people with very good content, amazing education, and high quality analytics. And you can check it out at CoinGenius.ai. They have this really cool 3D visualization tool so you can actually see the buy and sell orders on some of these projects and cryptos. And
I was looking for it.
It reminds me of like the next level crypto, digital asset Bloomberg terminal kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they're going for. And they're doing a really amazing stuff over there. You should check them out.
Absolutely. So CoinGenius.ai. A couple other things here. We're going to be doing airdrops of non-fungible tokens. These are collectible Ethereum-based tokens that we want to put into your Ethereum wallet. But in order to do that, we need your Ethereum address. Now, when you registered at Eventbrite, one of the things it asked you was your name, your email, your country of origin, and there was an optional field for your Ethereum wallet. Many of you had filled those in. If you have not, or if you have not yet registered at all and you're watching the stream somewhere, go to virtualblockchainweek.com and register. It's free unless you want the VIP upgrades for the parties, but register for the event and the airdrops and to enter into the contest. And I want to share this real quick in case you have already registered, but you didn't have your Ethereum address handy. Simply go to eventbrite.com, okay? And then once you're there, go to your tickets. And you can see I've already pulled that up here on my screen, and then click into the event, Virtual Blockchain Week 2020. Once you're in there, you'll see your name and attendee info. Now, I've already put my Ethereum address in here for this account, but if you haven't, simply go in here where it says edit. And now you can edit and put your Ethereum address in here and then click save, and then we'll have it. You don't need to go register again with another account. Just go edit your existing ticket on Eventbrite, and then we'll have that registration for you. That's going to also enter you to have an entry to win one of the CryptoMaticATM machines. You're going to hear about that in just a short hot minute here when we bring our next speaker on. It's also going to enter you to win various cryptocurrency wallets that we're giving away. We've got what, Ledger Nanos?
That's true. Let me give you a little screen share of I'm still finalizing the fancy NFT.
Oh, the official NFT of Virtual Blockchain Week. Look at that. Oh.
Yeah, so we got Sir John Hargrave, Miko Matsumuro, Justin Sun, we got Joff Paradise, Pomp, we got Brock Pierce, Vesa, we got Samson Williams, we got Akon, we got Cherie Amy, we have Jen Grayson and Chris Snook right there up at the top row. And we got there's Caitlin Long right there.
And there's Edward Griffin, there's Oz, There's Don. Yep. There's McAfee. This is so Travis is putting the finishing touches, and you can get this collectible NFT only if you register this week. In fact, we want you to hurry up and register now. If you're watching this and you haven't registered yet, go to virtualblockchainweek.com, because the first drawing is actually going to be tomorrow. And if you're not registered, you can't win. And if you choose to upgrade to the VIP experience, you'll see there's a bunch of benefits, but one of them includes 5 entries to win any of the various prizes that are being given away, including the Cryptomatic ATMs. So why wouldn't you do it? I mean,
I'm not sure.
I mean,
lots of cool different values. The thing is that only people who are registered and only VIP members are going to get that particular NFT that I'm doing. And then we're going to have an NFT, I believe, for everyone that CoinTelegraph.
Oh, I thought that was the everyone NFT.
Is that the everyone one?
That's
no, the everyone one.
NFT.
I believe the everyone one is the ATM one, and then the CoinTelegraph one. No, that's special VIP only.
Okay, that's the VIP one. This and CoinTelegraph is also going to be dropping the first time they've ever dropped an NFT. And if you're registered, everybody is going to get that NFT as well. Travis, do you have the image without the VBW on it? We can go ahead and show the one.
I don't have. You showed it to me on some screen somewhere. I don't have a copy of that.
Okay. Well, then you got. Oh, I have it actually. Let me open it up right here. We'll give you guys a little teaser of what the one for. Nope. Oh, there it is. Okay, I thought maybe I didn't have the right one. They they have really cool design at Cointelegraph. They do some cool stuff. And their team put this together. This is going to be the NFT. It's not yet done. It's going to have a virtual blockchain week branding on it, but everybody who registers is going to get that into their Ethereum wallet. So go do that. Do it today. Don't wait, because you might miss it and you might not have a chance at prizes.
Yeah, it's all part of that new digital collectibles. And you know what? The only time these are going to be ever available are during this event. Like, it's sort of a proof of attendance, which is the POAP protocol by one of our sponsors, which is POAP, POAP.xyz, I believe. Yeah.
POAP.xyz. And we'll talk about them a little bit more later. We're ready to bring our next speaker on, and we're super excited to have him. His name is Joff Paradise. He's an entrepreneur. He's an investor. He's an educator, successful entrepreneur with over 40 years in business. The guy's been at it for a long time. He's had some big wins under his belt, some devastating losses, and all of that has led him to his current philosophy on life now. He's the founder of Paradise Kids Foundation, and he spends the majority of his time enjoying his large family and traveling the world, educating and providing opportunities to help people improve their personal financial positions. And before we officially bring him on, I'm going to show you a really brief video. Here we go.
You know, I have to say, and I'd have to admit, that success comes with some fear, especially in the cryptocurrency world, because it's so volatile. People tell me all the time, aren't you afraid that it's going to crash? You know, I don't look at it that way. I look at it what it was a year ago and what it was today and what it was when I got in 2010, and I see nothing but greatness. But I educate myself on this. So is there a fear? I do have fear. I think all successful people should have fear. As a matter of fact, one of my quotes is, if your dream doesn't scare you, then your dream's not big enough. Your dream should scare you. It scares me, but I go every day and take action to make my dreams come true. You can too. I'm Joff Paradise. We will see you where? At the top.
If your dream doesn't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. Joff Paradise, welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week, friend.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I can't believe all these amazing speakers. Wow. And you know, it's true. We have people on here from all over this great, big, beautiful world of ours. So let's say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in this big, beautiful world of ours. Thanks again for having me on, guys. You're doing an amazing job. I could not miss such an amazing event. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Well, take it away. I know you've got some things you want to share.
I do, and I have a short time to share it. So let me try to pack in what I've learned over these 50 some odd years of my life into a few short sentences for you, or a few short PowerPoint presentation that I have for you. So first of all, again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in this big, beautiful world of ours. I am Joff Paradise, and I am an entrepreneur and crypto enthusiast, and I've been at this for a while. I actually got into cryptocurrency back in 2010, and I'll tell you that story in a few minutes. But I want to speak today to you about the 4 principles or laws of success. Now, we're going to talk about crypto here in a few minutes, and I'm going to involve this and come full circle for you. But I want to talk to you about something that is not taught in schools. It's the only place that I know you can learn these 4 principles or laws of success is by going through it in life yourself. Yes, I have failed a lot more times than I have succeeded in my lifetime. But the key is to never give up. Now, I've always been an entrepreneur, I think, at heart. Since I was 14 years old, I started my own company. At 17, I sold it. I went to college. At 24 years old, at 18, I started another company. At 24, I sold that company, made a multi-million-dollar deal. And the first law of success that I want to talk to you about and involved in here, let me see if this will work. Sorry, I got to get my slideshow going. There we go. Never, never give up. Winston Churchill. The first thing you need to learn is what? How to make money. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you out there know people and yourselves know how to make money. And that's not a hard thing to do for some people. Some people know how to make it. Well, I knew how to make it, and I've known how to make it for a long time. But the second law of success is the one that gets people kind of caught up. And that second one is how to keep your money. How do you keep it? Once you've learned how to make it, now we've all learned how to make it, but we haven't all learned how to make it to keep it. So when we make it, what happens? We fail because we lose it. We don't know how to keep it. Now, when I was 24, I sold a company, and by the time I was 28, I lost that company. I lost everything that I had made. Multi-million-dollar deal, and 4 years, fast cars, fast money, fast lifestyle, and I lost everything. I was done. I was broke again at 28. And so I didn't learn how to keep that money. Now, I had gone through this process for a few years, and by the time, well, about 2010, when I first was introduced to Bitcoin and blockchain, I was in the process of selling some fitness centers, and what it ended up is I got into the blockchain, I got into Bitcoin, and I sold my fitness centers. And when I was doing that, I got a little Bitcoin in lieu of that. Now, I overpaid at that time, but that's another story. We won't get into it. It's another long story. So what happened, though, is a year later in 2011, December 31st, the very last day of the year, I was involved in a really horrific accident. And the results of that accident was that I lost my left leg. I have a rod, 18 screws and 2 plates in what's left of that leg. I have a plate here in my head. I died twice. I've had 47 surgeries and procedures on my neck and spine. And I had 6 doctors tell me I'd never walk again and that I would never speak again without stuttering. Well, I spent a year in a wheelchair believing that, and a year and a half in speech therapy. But look at, I'm walking, I'm talking, and I'm doing the things that I need to do today because I did not believe what people told me I could do. I believed in myself what I would be able to do. And I told them I would walk again. So how to keep your money? Well, that's pretty good. Trying to keep it is a hard thing to do for a lot of us. And so let's talk about, and I'll go into that. If you want to go to joffparadise.com and you want to follow me or you want to get in touch with me, I can go into details on these things, on these principles and laws on how to actually do these things. But I want to talk to you about how you should be doing them if I'm not teaching you how to do them. So number 2 is to keep your money. Well, obviously I didn't learn how to keep my money and it went out the door. Well, in 2014, I got myself off all the prescription drugs. I got onto nutraceuticals instead of pharmaceuticals. I got into functional medicine instead of the old Western society medicine. And you guys see these paradigm shifts happening right now in the world. You see 3 at least paradigm shifts that are happening in the clean energy and the medical and now in the financial world. So these paradigm shifts are happening right before your eyes. The smart contracts, the blockchain technology, that is all the future. That is our next internet in my eyes. So we have to take advantage of those things. But what's number 3? Now, if we learn how to make money and we finally learn how to keep it, what do we need to do? What is number 3? That's how to increase your money, how to make your money go to work for you instead of you working for your money, how to make it go to work when you're sleeping, when you're sick, when you're on quarantine. How do you make your money go to work for you? And you know, through my lifetime, I've had to learn these hard lessons and costly lessons. I would say I've got a PhD by now in money and learning how to do these successful things. But increasing your money is not as easy as people think. Now, today, it's become a lot easier for a lot of us. And a lot of you are stuck at home. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, right at the end of this, on how to involve this with your children. Now, I have 8 kids. I have 4 girls, 4 boys, and I love my children. I love children. As you know, I have the Paradise Kids Foundation. I want to partner with some other companies. Hopefully, I'll have a good announcement in the next couple of days when I speak to you on Friday about doing some partnership. But let's move on. So number 3, how to increase your money. Wouldn't you say that if you have number 1, how to make money, you get number 2, you learn how to keep your money. Now number 3, you learn how to make your money into more money. Is there anything left? Is there anything left for you to do? Sure, there's something left. What would there be left? You got to give back. Without the 4th law or principle of giving back, how are you going to keep this going? And so I truly believe that you have to give back. Now, some people pay tithes and offerings. Some people do it in different ways. I'm not saying that you have to give money back. I'm not saying that you have to. I believe in tithing. I believe in those things, but I'm saying that you have to learn these principles and then give them back. You see, I can retire. I'm semi-retired now. I've traveled all over the world. I've been to 107 countries in the last 4 years, and all I've wanted to do is help people. That's all I want to do, is to do number 4, is to give back, because the first 3 I've done, and I'm still doing it today. But I want you to learn this. I want to pass this on to you. Hey, if a one-legged guy that's died twice, that's got a plate in his head and hops around on one leg, and people ask me, Joff, how do you do it with one leg? I ask you, how do you not do it with 2? So let's move on here. You got to do this. So the 4 laws and principles, let's talk about and summarize up here, and I want to go in a little bit more, but the basis of everything in life, including success, is value. You have to add value, and as long as you add more value than you take, I believe you'll truly be successful. Number 1, let's teach our children how to make money. You know, my kids today and my children, I have a little deal with them that they have Bitcoin on a savings, and they have their wallet. I have the private keys. Of course, you have to have the private keys. We keep the private keys, but they have their own wallet. They can see their Bitcoin increasing, and they can use that when they graduate high school and college. Now, if we give them a quarter every single year that they do well, what will they do? They'll learn how to make money. They'll learn how to keep the money instead of spending the money, because they see it grow. And then we teach them how to increase it. They see these things happening. If they do what they're supposed to do and you get them involved, my kids, I have an actual story of someone else, not just my children, but if someone else did this. And Pam is her name. She's an amazing lady. She wrote me and told me that one of her nephews, she said, hey, I'm going to give you a quarter of Bitcoin, and I'm going to do what you're doing. I'm going to do this. And he has, even in quarantine, he's called her, said, hey, is this still on? Because think about it. At the end, he's got 1 Bitcoin. What do you think that Bitcoin's going to be worth? Did it increase? You're teaching children today how to have a really good savings account that they can actually monitor. Put it in a bank. Is it going to grow? And number 4, teaching them how to give back. Other kids might ask, have them lead the way. My son talks about all the things that I do and talks about cryptocurrency. He actually trades, and he's an amazing kid, and he's 13 years old and speaks 5 languages. So we are in the information world. I hope you all understand all these things that are going on. Now, we have a couple of wallets that I want to talk to you about, because I've talked to you about putting Bitcoin somewhere, but where do you put it? Well, you need to know how to use, there are wallets, there are hot wallets and there's cold wallets. Okay, a hot one, and you can use a cold wallet. Also, they have where you can go on and use Ledger and Ledger Live and do things. But for now, if DV has an amazing project and a program, Silo has an amazing wallet. These are called hot wallets. They're not on an exchange. So you don't have to depend on the exchange to keep your Bitcoin, and that they will keep your Bitcoin for you. If you're not trading, I don't suggest that you put it on an open exchange, because now you're putting your Bitcoin on their exchange, not yours. So if you put it into a hot wallet, make sure you investigate, do your due diligence. And I always strongly suggest that you use a cold wallet, which would be Trezor or Ledger. And I know, I think it was Joel was talking about that they had some ledgers to give away here a few minutes ago. And if you do, those are the best way to keep your crypto. If you're not trading or using it and making it grow, then the best thing to do is put it somewhere that's offline, that's secured and safe, and now you're your own bank, and you're free of debt. It's free. That's free of being in debt unless you take, credit on your Bitcoin or your crypto. So Joel, that's me in about 10 minutes. I hope I've done a fairly good job. I wanted to encourage everyone to sign up and register, because if you don't register, especially, think about it. We're going to give, now I'm a founder of many companies. I have about 16 different cryptocurrencies. I'm mostly into cryptocurrency. I'd say 90% of my business is, or 95, 98% of my businesses are cryptocurrency related. Even the real estate that we do has cryptocurrency related assets, and how we buy and sell. All of the things that I want to do in life, it has to be with crypto, because I strongly and truly believe in my heart. Keep in mind, I saw Bitcoin at 60 cents. So I've seen things that most people haven't seen. And I truly believe in Bitcoin. I'm on the McAfee side when he says, hey, I don't need a bank. I don't need a credit card. I don't need to owe anybody any money. If I can't make it on my own and pay for it on my own, I don't need it. And
amen.
that's the same way I feel.
Woo!
Preach,
Stop
brother.
being a
Preach
slave.
it.
Stop being a slave to the credit and to the bank. That's where people don't realize slavery still exists. Would you guys agree with me? I know you, Travis, I've heard you talk about it.
Well, it's we're slave to the almighty dollar and that system, because you ain't got no dollar, you ain't got no home, you ain't got no food, it's a whole lot of things out there. So that's great. And you're going to be speaking a couple more times, so folks will be able to listen to Reverend Joff Paradise preaching some more of the gospel of the cryptos.
Yeah, and let me just really quickly pull this up here, Joff. This is a CryptoMaticATM. Again, Joff has given away, in cooperation with Virtual Blockchain Week, 2 of these ATMs. What do they sell for, good sir?
Well, they sell at about 8 to 10,000, depending on the market where you're at. You got to keep in mind that I always say you got to have a little skin in the game, and so we are giving these away 100% to you, winners, but you do need to realize that there's shipping involved, and we can't legally ship these ATMs to you, because legally then we're responsible, and that puts us in a whole nother logistic way. So you have to pay for the shipping. That's no big deal. But let's think about it. Now you have your own opportunity, your own business. This is not the Oprah where you give, oh, you get an ATM and you get an ATM and you get an ATM. It ain't about that, guys.
I don't get an ATM.
Actually, you want one. I know you want one. But think about it. This is an actual opportunity to start your very own business, to get away from the job, jump out of bed, just over broke.
Just over broke. That's how I know it.
For me, or jump out of bed, because you got to jump out of bed to go to work.
Right.
Well, now you ain't jumping out of bed.
I roll out of bed.
That's how he rolls.
Begrudgingly.
Joff Paradise, we will see you
Joel
later in the week, my friend. Thank you for coming on tonight. We wish you very well, my friend.
Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you guys so much. You're doing an amazing job. Don't stop now. Never, never, never give up. I love you guys. I think you're amazing, and don't stop, man.
Thank you, good sir. Cheers.
Awesome.
Whoop. Cut him off there. One word early. Sorry about that, Joff, but glad to have you, and thanks for providing the ATMs for the giveaway. Again, get registered, virtualblockchainweek.com. Mr. Travis Wright, our next speaker is going to be dynamic, like they all have been tonight, and funny, and smart, all those things.
Well, you just called Joff good sir. We have a literal sir.
A literal sir. Yeah, he goes by Sir John Hargrave. He is the CEO of Media Shower. It's a blockchain media company. He's the publisher of Bitcoin Market Journal, and he's author of the best-selling book, Blockchain for Everyone. And today, Blockchain Goes Coco is the name of the presentation we're going to hear from him. So please, everybody, welcome with a very loud huzzah, Sir John Hargrave. Hello, good sir.
Joe, Travis, and everyone.
Good to see you, our brother.
A pleasure to be in your presence, good sir.
Guys, what an amazing event you have put together. This is the greatest blockchain conference in history. And you guys have scooped Coinbase. You've scooped Consensus. You guys have made the event of the year.
I scooped some ice cream too. 2 scoops.
2 scoops, of course.
Scoops. Well,
thank
we
you.
know
That's really kind words, brother.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. And it just shows you how this time is like the great equalizer, isn't it?
It is.
And you don't got to be a super huge company to do it. I mean, here it is. Two dudes, a super awesome, amazing, super Wonder Woman producer, and a great team of like 3 other people, and there we go.
Yeah. The great Erin Sell, your producer, she's amazing. But yeah, the 3 of you working super hard over the last few weeks have made this amazing blockchain conference with a who's who of blockchain stars.
In a what's what? In a where's where?
It's a where's here. Here.
You've got a presentation for us today, right?
I do.
I'm gonna go.
Loco.
I have to go downstairs and get something.
That's code for use the restroom.
Okay, brother, it's all you.
All right. Well, gentlemen, my talk tonight is called Blockchain Goes Coco. Blockchain Goes Coco. And it starts with this game right here. My family and I are big board game players. We love board games. This is one of our favorites. It's called Pandemic. And in this game, you're working as a team of players who are all working together to save the world from a super virus. So it's not competitive, it's co-op. And each of the players at the beginning gets one of these cards. It's a roll card. And you get a special superpower, like for example, this is the quarantine specialist. And in this real life pandemic, we all have a role to play, and that's communication specialist. So I run a media and communication company called Media Shower. And at the beginning of this outbreak, because I've played many pandemic games over the years, I saw how this was going and I said, well, how can we help as a media and communication company, Media Shower? So I started to read. And this was a very helpful document. It was put out by the World Health Organization back in 2005. And it's best practices for communicating with the public during an outbreak. So this isn't our first pandemic. We've had SARS and avian flu and what have you. And as I read through this, I realized no one is doing this. No one is actually following the best practices for communicating during a pandemic. So I said, well, how can we help? What can we do as a media and communication company? Well, we had a big advantage, and the advantage was that we know blockchain. We understand how blockchain works. I'm going to share my screen here. So in blockchain, of course, we are decentralized. So in the past, we had a very centralized way of communicating, right? We had a single authority figure, whether that was a news anchor or a president that everyone trusted, and they would communicate with the public at large. But that's not the way we communicate today. Now it's bottom up. So think of all the blogs and the social media feeds and all of the streaming channels that you subscribe to. So we communicate in a much more decentralized manner today, just like blockchain. So we said, well, how can we use these principles of decentralization to communicate about coronavirus. And the result was called Coco at coco.mediashower.com. And I will now explain to you how Coco works. Oh, ukulele. Hit it. During a pandemic, it's important to communicate in a way that's helpful and truthful. It's something all of us can do. That's why we developed COCO. COCO stands for Coronavirus Communication, and it's your hub for getting helpful, truthful information to the world. COVID-19 is a virus. It travels from one person to another. It spreads like a virus. Know what else spreads from one person to another? Information. When everyone shares an idea, what do we call it? Going viral. Or in this case, antiviral. When we share good information, we slow the spread of the virus and we speed the spread of helpful, truthful information. And this acts like a magnet that attracts even more people. Our mission is to get these messages to spread faster than the virus. COCO is a messaging toolkit with ready-made tweets, images, and even memes that you're free to use, remix, and share. Get creative. Good communication is how we band together as humans. We're one human species, and if we work together, we will win. Working together, we can literally save the world. So spread the word, not the germ. COCO. Ladies and gentlemen, our ukulele player, thank you very much. He'll be performing nowhere for the next 3 to 5 months. So that's what we produced, was COCO, this website at coco.mediashower.com. And what we realized very quickly is that in this time, it's kind of the great equalizer. So if you've seen all of these talk show hosts or SNL that are all being broadcast from home, you realize like Jimmy Fallon's in his den. I have a den. We're all just people. Take away the studio audience, take away the band, and you realize like these are just moderately funny people like you and me who happen to have a show. My friend said it's like the veil has been lifted. So what we started to do with COCO was build social proof. And as a blockchain enthusiast, this is how blockchains grow, is when you see other people repeating a message, you're more likely to repeat it yourself. So what we're trying to do is get all these people of all different diverse backgrounds to give these messages, which we've been filming and putting onto the COCO website. And here's some of the results. In just 6 weeks, we already have 25,000 mentions of our COCO hashtags, reaching a total of 150 million people. So to be clear, the hashtags have been repeated 25,000 times with a total reach or audience of 150 million people. So when you see these hashtags like new normal or slow the spread, or together apart, or COCO, those are COCO hashtags. Please help us spread them. And what we've learned is very interesting. First of all, you gotta have a big, bold truth. So when you're sharing a message, whether that's about blockchain, about digital currency, or about something else you're passionate about, you've got to have a big, bold truth, like information is the antivirus. You got to think like a virus. So you have to use hashtags, you have to use memes, you have to plug into the human hive mind. You got to be radically transparent about what you're doing, just like I'm doing right here. You got to be scrupulously honest. You have to show that what you're doing is trustworthy. and you have to be in it for the long haul. The truth takes time. So this is how you can help us spread the word. First of all, just talk about it. Just tell other people what we're doing. You can also tweet. You can do what we call a COCO, which is a small kindness for someone else, or you can shoot a video on the website, coco.mediashower.com. We've got video scripts that you can read, shoot a video. It doesn't have to be fancy, no hair or makeup, and you can send it right over to us, coco.mediashower.com. Spread the word, not the jury. Coco.
That was great, John. That was really, I did not see the ukulele coming. Oh, Travis has his.
That was beautiful, man. I tell you, I was laughing so hard when you said ukulele, poof, and then comes the ukulele guy.
Ukulele if you want to.
Yeah, I have him on call at all time. Whenever I just feel the urge, ukulele.
Well, I want to show you something. Let me do a quick share screen, because while you were encouraging people to share, I went ahead and tweeted out this.
Oh, thank you.
So
that's all we need to do.
Set the example right there. You guys go tweet or retweet me at JoelCom, or make your videos or whatever it is that you feel led to do to support this worthy effort.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, John, we appreciate you. Go ahead and pimp your book for a moment behind you. Pick it up, tell people, because it's a really good book and great entry level or intermediate.
Thank you so much. This is my book called Blockchain for Everyone. It's available on Amazon and also a fantastic audiobook on audible.com as well. How I Learned the Secrets of the New Millionaire Class, and you can too. This is the true life story of going through the great the great blockchain boom of 2017, and then the great blockchain crash of 2018. How we survived, how we made it through, and all the lessons we learned. And they're lessons that are relevant to this time, because once you've been through the whole blockchain roller coaster, like I have, and like Joel has, and like Travis has, a global pandemic is nothing. Am I right? Like a global pandemic is cake. This is easy compared to what we've all been through. And this book is your Bible for how to survive, how to do it, and you'll learn something about blockchain along the way.
That's very humble introduction about your book there. Very nice.
He is the Right Reverend Sir John Hargrave. Hey, man.
Yeah.
We love you, John. I mean, Sir John, you're an amazing guy. Thank you so much for being part of this.
Hey, I had to step out at the very beginning. Did you explain where the Sir came from, how you're knighted?
Yeah, it's a funny story. So in my first book, which was a humor book, a book of pranks, it was called Prank the Monkey. And I went after the largest targets I could find, like the US Senate and Bono and the Queen of England. I went after the Queen and I said, Your Majesty, I would like to be knighted. I wrote a letter to Buckingham Palace because I just thought Sir John Hargrave would be classier. I heard that you get 10% off at participating Denny's. So the Queen wrote me back. She actually said, well, you have to do something honorable. And I said, that's a lot of work. So I went to my local county courthouse and I paid a name change fee. I went before a judge, paid $35. And lo and behold, here I am today, Sir John Hargrave.
That's way easier than doing something noble.
Yeah. There is. And then look at me now doing this global COCO effort.
Oh my.
So despite it all, I'm still going to end up doing something noble and getting the legitimate knighthood.
Well, we believe for you, good friend. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, for delivering content, for inspiring, and for a little music. Nobody else brought music, so we appreciate that.
Guys, thanks for all the work you do, and congrats on such an amazing event.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. All right, Mr. Travis Wright. That's
awesome dude. We love John.
Sir John Hargrave. Indeed.
Awesome.
Indeed. Mr. Travis Wright, our next guest is actually waiting. They're a sponsor for this event. They've got a super cool app, and they are our cybersecurity expert for this event. Why don't you go ahead and talk about them a little bit?
Yeah, so Dima Buter, I've known him now, I think, for about almost 2.5 years or so. He is the CEO at Hacken Group, and before entering crypto and blockchain, he was in the military there in Ukraine, and he also had an 8-year career at Deloitte. And he's the co-founder of a blockchain cybersecurity consultancy called Hacken. I've spoken at his event twice. I've been to his headquarters 2 or 3 times. And basically what he's done is put together some amazing minds, built this cybersecurity suite that is very sweet. And it's something you're going to want to hear about. He's going to come talk about all-in-one cybersecurity suite and an announcement he has. So, Dima.
Hey. Hello.
Hello, good sir. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
Are you Sir Dima Budurin?
Yes, I am. Okay. I'm Whitehead Dima Budurin.
Yes, we have knighted you as well, my friend.
And it's really early in the morning over there, so thank you for jumping on the other side of the world, my man.
Yes, it's I had to go later to bed, but it's fine. It's 4 a.m. right now.
4 a.m. Good stuff.
Well, Dima, did you have a message that you wanted to share directly, or can we just ask you some questions?
First of all, I wanted to give some educational content. I wanted to explain how white-hat hackers think on some example that we recently had. And then just to make a presentation of our product and how we solve these problems. All right.
Take it away.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so imagine that you are fired from your job. You are in Eastern Europe. You have some IT skills, but you don't have money to, you don't have a job to earn some money. And what do you actually start to do? You start to kind of try to let me share my screen. You start trying to make some money in the internet. And first thing you do, you go to cryptocurrency users and you start to look who is there and who are the top ones. And you search in some forums, and sooner or later you find some names. And you find that there are some emails associated with those persons. For example, the great guy, Anthony Pompliano. You find the name of his email and you check the name in some darknet databases, and you find that this email was breached 6 times. Then you go, do you see my screen? I think so.
Yep, we saw the screen.
Then you go for Dan Tapscott, for example, to his popular email, then check, and then you find that, yeah, his email was broken 6 times. And what is your next step? Then you go to the dark net and you pay some small money, and you find the way to get the password associated with those leaks. Because what is the leak? It's not that you are that you typed your login and password at some creepy porn site, but that's some probably a big name company was hacked. For example, my leaks, my breaches that I had were associated with vk.com, it's a popular social network in Russian world. Last.fm, I don't know if people know Last.fm, but I use it every day. It's a music portal. And yes, those were hacked, and the guys got my account and password that I was using to enter those websites. So it wasn't fault on my side. So yeah, but these databases are available in the darknet. And then this jobless guy with IT skills go and buys this login and password for like $0.1, and then he starts to use these emails with the same password that he got to Binance, Huobi, Bittrex, whatever, all the top exchanges. You know, a lot of people are using the same passwords everywhere. I must to confess that sometimes I also have this thing when I need to do something quickly. But this is the main problem. You know, I recommend people not to use every time something very complicated, but at least use some passwords, some new password every time. This is much more important. You know, there are a lot of ways how to try to hack your account. Like people are saying this difficult word, brute force the password, but like very small amount of people know where to get these tools to brute force, how not to be identified as a spam attack from the resource. But you can do these simple steps that I just did with these two emails. And this is what everybody should be aware of, and everybody should be a little bit scared of, because these things are gonna be done by, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people, and they're gonna approach not these top influencers. They're gonna approach you because they're gonna find databases from some crypto exchanges, in some Twitter, you know, this hey, leave your email and be signed up for giveaways from all the crypto airdrops. And once you just leave your email, not necessarily the password that you log in or sign up, just email, it's enough for them. And they will know that you are not very smart, that you are signing up for these resources, and probably you're using the same passwords to all your exchanges. So it's
amazing. Dima, I just saw on one of my emails that I've had on Gmail since like 2003 has been breached 11 times.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Joel email, I to be honest, I checked Joel's email and it has more.
That doesn't shock me at all. You know, I've been online for 25 years, and some of the older emails are even worse. I can't use them anymore because they've been distributed so widely. So I want to pull up the screen of the website here. Let me do this. And we want to invite you guys to go to our sponsors page. Dima, are you done showing tell there? Can I go ahead and pull that down?
I have a presentation, if you don't mind. I wanted to show a little slides, just like, and I'll be very quick. It's my
go ahead.
Speech. I will try to make it quicker.
So breachreport.com is yours, and this is tied to your new cybersecurity tool.
Yes. Hackenize it's actually iOS application was approved 3 hours ago. So 3 hours ago we officially launched, and it's a big day for us.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Hacken is a global cybersecurity firm with essential focus on blockchain. We did more than 250 audits for the last 2 years. We audited 40 exchanges. We have 3,000 hackers registered at our Hacking-Proof platform. Our project is, Hacking-Proof, hacking.io, and cryptoexchangeranks.live, cr.live. Our clients are Department of Defense, VeChain, OneLedger, FTX, CoolBits, Great Wallet, AirAsia, ProximaX.
We're still seeing your sharing screen from Don Tapscott, by the way, so you might want to change which window you're showing.
Oh, sure. Thank you. That's good. All right. What about now?
Yeah, there it is. I don't know that we have time for all of those slides, Dima, so go ahead and hit the high points, please.
All right. So we decided to create the personal cybersecurity application that will be all-in-one suite for individual protection in the internet. We decided in May 2019, and then we started to launch it. And the way we approach this individual cybersecurity is through education and gamification. So we created a beautiful design. We created a gamified module that motivates user to start learning things about cybersecurity, just like I explained to you how the hackers think. And the user is passing education module, and he's starting to use our tools. We have already this darknet monitoring that I told you, with the biggest 30 billion database. It's the biggest in the world database of breached accounts, and we are monitoring constantly your accounts and tell you your passwords that were leaked. We have educational model that covers basically all cybersecurity essentials, and it helps you to be up to date for all the knowledges that you need. And it has the HackNI tools. It's a password manager, two-factor authentication, VPN, and so on. So it's like you install the app, and then we do all the job for you. Not a lot of people are using password managers, less than 2%. We highly recommend to do it now, and to sign up for darknet monitoring now. All right, so not so much time. You can see in the screen how the app looks on the right, some text on the right. This is darknet monitoring. This is my breaches, not mine. Yeah, MySpace was breached in May 2016. This cute little mascot is the guy who will make you laugh, and these are achievables. And so every time you do some good job in our app, you are unlocking the achievement and get the NFT hat that motivates you to continue your run some market thing. And once again, the cybercrime rate is gonna like skyrocket. It's not a secret that crime rates goes up when there is a crisis in the world, but now it's gonna be crisis of IT people, of this millions of IT people from India, from China, from Eastern Europe, who will lose their jobs, and they need to eat something. And unfortunately, yes, some of them will go to a dark side. All right, this is our experienced team, and if you don't mind, I will just share with you two official links to our app and to our website.
Well, actually, Dima, let's do this. Let me put up the screen here of our sponsor page, because what we want people to do is go here to virtualblockchainweek.com and click the blue button here up top that sponsors. And this will list all of the sponsors that we have for this event, but we want you to go through this link right here, Get Secure with Hacking AI. Your passwords could be floating around on the darknet. Check your breach status instantly with the Hacking AI app. Click right there and look at the magic that's going to happen. Boom, there you are. Download on the App Store, and there's the Google Play link, both iOS and Android. So we encourage you to do that, and you're going to find out pretty quickly, you know, the level of breach you have on your account.
Yeah, like, man, Canva. Like 4 of the breaches that I have been Canva. And that's crazy. They have my password on there, and there it is.
Son of a breach.
I know. What the hell, Canva? Get your shizzle together.
Dima, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. And we're encouraging everybody to go grab the app.
So valuable. Thank you so much, Dima. Appreciate you, brother.
Take care, bud.
Bye-bye.
Man.
All right. That's some good stuff right there.
11 times that thing's been hacked, dude.
I don't even want to know. Everybody should go download this app. I just downloaded it and I'm installing it now. What I really like is that they added the gamification too. So when you conduct certain activities in the app, you get these NFT rewards.
I didn't even know certainly some of these accounts were hacked. I had never been notified or heard that or seen that Animoto and Canva and some of those had been hacked like that. That's crazy. So I think just out of pure curiosity, go there, type in your email on breachreport.com and see, and then get in the system and then start cleaning some of that stuff up, because you need to know which accounts you need to change your passwords on for sure.
Right on. Hey, Virtual Blockchain Week Night 2 chugs along, gang. We've got two more great keynotes for you this evening. Brittany Kaiser will be coming up to close out the evening, but right now we have Maureen Muray. She's an attorney and a principal at Crowdy Advisors. They're a business consulting firm dedicated to helping local and foreign entrepreneurs and small businesses form business entities, transact business, and obtain financing via crowdfunding and some alternative financing methods. She's been a guest on Bad Crypto podcast before. She's here today to talk about the CARES Act, highlights of it for small business and for consultants. Welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week, Maureen.
Hi.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
We're super excited to hear what you've got to share with us tonight. I understand that you have some slides.
I do, and I can share.
We'll let you go ahead and set up the sharing for that. And you guys are going to want to pay really close attention to what she's going to be talking about here. She's an adjunct professor at the University of New Hampshire School of Law, and she teaches tokenomics and cryptocurrency regulations in smart cities, blockchain law, and government. She's smarter than both of us put together. Maureen, go ahead and take it away.
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. My name is Maureen Muray. I'm with Crowdy Advisors. So today we'll be talking about the CARES Act, and I just wanted to share some highlights with you about what small businesses and consultants should be considering when thinking about potentially using some or taking advantage of some of the relief that the government has provided. So first, I am an attorney as well, and so I have to give my little disclaimer. And so essentially what I'm providing to you today is just for informational purposes only. And so it's not intended to be used for any legal or financial advice. If this is something that you think that you would want to take advantage of, then I do suggest and I urge you to speak to someone who can help you in your area. Okay, before you make any major decisions. So first, the CARES Act. So the CARES Act is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, right? It's a pretty long name, but it was passed by Congress and signed into law by the president on March 27th. And essentially the goal of the CARES Act was to provide fast and direct economic assistance for workers, families, small businesses, and to also try to preserve as many jobs as possible for the different industries in our country. And so I know a lot of you have heard about what has gone on in the news. There was already one wave and ran out, and I think in less than 2 weeks. And so now the new wave, or the second wave, I should say, started, and the application period opened again yesterday at 10:30 in the morning. So, if you were contemplating it, this might be the time to really get your ducks in a row and think about if this is something you want to do, because, just like the first round, it's not expected to last till June, which is the when the application period ends. So the main portion of the CARES Act that I'll be touching on today is about the Paycheck Protection Program. And so the Paycheck Protection Program essentially expands the SBA 7(a) small business loan program. And originally it was meant for disasters, but they've decided to increase or expand it so that people could also use it for payroll costs and other business expenses as well, and because of the pandemic. So who can apply? Businesses with less than 500 employees can apply, or businesses that meet the SBA, the Small Business Administration's small business standards. And then we also have nonprofits, 501c3s that are in the organizations, and tribal businesses can also apply for this program. And so can sole proprietors, independent contractors, also known as consultants, and self-employed people. They also can apply to receive a loan from this program. So the PPP is what they're calling it, the Paycheck Protection Program. It funds, you can use it for a number of things. I know I already mentioned payroll, and all of that. But you can also use the PPP funds for payments on your mortgage obligations, not your personal, obviously. If your company has a mortgage, or it's paying rent, or it's incurring any debt, or has incurred any debt and needs to make debt payments. It will also cover utilities payments that the business has to make, as well as any interest on any debt obligation. So sometimes people are renting equipment, sometimes people have credit card debt, and things like that, or the business, I should say. And so for those reasons, you could also use the PPP funds to be able to essentially alleviate some of the hardship that your business may be experiencing as a result of the pandemic and maybe business slowing down or doors having to close, et cetera. But the main reason for the PPP is to preserve the amount of I'm sorry, not preserve. The main reason for the PPP is so that you can keep your employees, right? And so that you can pay them to hold on to them until this is all over and the world opens up again, and then we can hopefully go back to, I guess I won't say normal, but go back to something that you can control. So I did mention that I'm sorry, I went too fast. I did mention that the PPP also, in addition to the payroll and all these expenses, I know that there are small businesses that may not have some of these expenses. And so if that's the case, then that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't apply for the PPP. You just have to go through the application, and I'll share the link with you later so that you can determine what certain things that you might be able to do. Because even if you are a small business, if you're, let's say, someone who's a service provider and it's just you, so maybe instead of trying to provide, pay stubs and payroll and all of that, maybe you could consider yourself to be maybe a sole proprietor, or not a sole proprietor, a consultant, or a someone who doesn't necessarily have all the employees and all that, and you could still possibly apply. So that brings me to independent contractors, sole proprietors, and self-employed. So those folks, if you are thinking of applying, so let's say you have a business, but you're not necessarily registered, you don't have employees, you don't have a mortgage, you're not paying rent somewhere, but you are in business for yourself, then you too can apply. And these are some of the things that you might need. So payroll, tax filings, any 1099s, if you've provided service to let's say you spoke at a conference, or you were a consultant on some project and they gave you a 1099 showing the amount that you made, that's something you can use. Any other income that you can show via your bank statements or something like that, you can use that, as well as any expenses you have for your business. And so those will help the lenders be able to create a profile for you so that they can determine if you are someone that would be eligible for this benefit, to be able to borrow these funds. And the other thing I want to mention about sole proprietors and independent contractors, if you're not at the point where you can do this yet and you don't have these documents, this is the time to start getting that together and keeping it current, and not necessarily waiting till tax time. So that's just a suggestion of mine. I think it makes tax time very easy if you have some of your ducks in a row already. So in terms of the loan terms, the loan payment terms for the PPP, you are able to get this loan at a very low rate, right? There's nowhere that you can get a business loan for 4% and lower. And this is, so SBA essentially is saying we are guaranteeing these loans, and because we're guaranteeing them, and so that means if you default, the government will still pay it. The interest rate can't be high. There's also not going to be a prepayment penalty if the business is able to pay that loan back quickly. There's also not going to be any personal guarantees. And there are some instances when banks do have owners of small businesses provide a personal guarantee. So there's none of that in the PPP program. There are no fees required. And on top of that, the lenders are required to provide you, the small business, with payment deferral for 6 to 12 months if you should need it. And that would include principal, interest, and fees. So that's essentially your whole payment. Generally, your payment would include the principal, a payment towards the principal, and a payment towards interest. And then this program, if you are at the point where you do borrow the funds, but you're not able to start making payments right away, then the government is saying, okay, fine, then those lenders have to allow you a deferral period so that you can make those payments. The other benefit or highlight, I should say, about the PPP program is the ability to have that loan forgiven. So a portion of that loan may be forgiven, but it's limited to certain circumstances. So we mentioned earlier what types of expenses you can use the funds for. So that's where the limit is. If you're going to have those funds forgiven, then you have to make sure that those funds went towards payroll costs, went towards rent, mortgage interest, or utilities. And the perception of the government is that most of those funds will actually go towards payroll, like I said, because that's the main reason for this program, to allow businesses, small businesses, to be able to hold on to their employees as much as possible. And so the other thing that I want to mention is that even though loans may be forgiven, the amount that would be forgiven would not exceed the principal amount. So that means that if you owe more because of the interest, so let's say you hadn't been able to make payments on that loan for 6 to 12 months right away, so then that means that you would essentially owe a little bit more than your loan because of the interest, but the amount that would be forgiven would only be for the interest. And because it would be as a result of it being forgiven, then that means the loan is also considered, once it's forgiven, it's considered a canceled debt, which is also a plus. And then, so the caveat to this is that any portion of that loan that is not forgiven by before December 31st, 2020, then the borrower, the small business, has a repayment term of up to 10 years from the date that you applied for the loan forgiveness. So there are all these layers to it, right? So if it doesn't work out, if you're able to pay the loan right away, then you should, right? And then if you're not able to, you get a 6 to 12 month deferment until you're able to. You can also ask for a loan forgiveness. And then if for some reason the loan is not forgiven before the December 31st, then of 2020, then you have up to 10 years to repay that loan, which is something to also consider. Maximum loan amount. So there's a lot of talk about how much can you borrow. So I think most news outlets are just talking about the $10 million that you can borrow up to 10 million, which is true, but there are other factors that come into play. And so it's the lesser of one of these three categories, either 10 million or the average total monthly payments for payroll costs that you incur by 2.5, right? And then, or if let's say that for the second tier, it's because you were in business from January 1st. But let's say you weren't in business from January 1st, then it's still the total, the average of the total payments for the payroll costs, but it would be, through that short period between January 1st and January 1st and February 29th times the 2.5, and then that would be your loan amount. So it's not to say that if you need to borrow money, then your first or only option is to ask for 10 million. There are equations, you'd have to fall under one of these things. So it's the lesser of one of these three. So I want to make sure that is, something that should be, that is highlighted. The other thing is in terms of employees, I forgot to mention this about payroll costs. So for the purposes of this loan, employees are full-time, part-time, or other schedules. And so other would potentially be people who work seasonally, right? So they don't work all year round, but they essentially come in every summer or every spring or during the holidays, and they work a normal shift. But it does include part-time employees as well. So like, again, I know I keep saying this, but the main thing is to be able to help, assist your employees so that they can stay on as long as possible. Another highlight I wanted to share is the emergency grant. So with the emergency grant, you're also, this is a $10,000 grant that parties can get within a 3-day period. I know there might be some of you out there who already applied for it and didn't get it within 3 days, but I know that, you know, we have to be patient. This is new, things are rolling out, there are a lot of things going on. And so it didn't quite go as quickly as expected or as anticipated, but essentially the emergency grant was to kind of serve as like a stopgap measure. So you could get the $10,000 and then you would essentially get that $10,000 in advance of getting the PPP loan, because that would kind of serve as a wait, like I said, a stopgap measure as you waited for your decision from your lender or whomever to your lender or other company that would be loaning you the whatever the funds were that you were trying to qualify for. And so with the $10,000, you know, you would receive it within 3 days, and those funds would then have to be used for certain things, right? Paid sick leave for your employees, maintaining payroll, as I've said a few times, meeting any increased costs your business might have because of the pandemic. And then, you know, again, making rent or mortgage payments and also repaying any obligations. So one of the caveat to getting the emergency grant is, granted, it is a grant, so you don't have to pay it back. So that means if you are not later approved for a PPP loan, then you don't have to pay the $10,000 back. But if you are approved for the PPP loan, then the loan would be reduced by the $10,000 advance that you got. And technically the $10,000 grant is part of a different SBA program. It's the economic injury loss program. But because of, you know, they know that one, $10,000 may not be enough for a small business. And the fact that, you know, you could possibly be applying for a PPP loan, or maybe you applied for a different loan before the PPP became available. That's another option, right? You could apply for something else that might not fall within the PPP realm. Or let's say you apply for a loan before, another type of loan, an economic injury loan, and then you decide you want to do a PPP loan. Then that loan is essentially an obligation. So that loan, the first loan that you got from SBA, may be refinanced, right, within your new loan under the PPP program. So that's one. And then the $10,000 is under the economic injury program. But like I said, even though it's under a different program, for purposes of forgiving it or maybe having a PPP loan approved and then being able to you know, reduce whatever the amount of your PPP loan was by the amount that you received from the emergency grant. Hopefully that makes sense. So there are a number of entities or banks, financial institutions that can provide, that are SBA approved. So they have gone through an application process with the SBA, and they are able to lend funds that are guaranteed by the government. So first, I would say there's a link there at the top. First, I would say to apply through an existing SBA 788 lender. Many times these are actually institutions that you probably already bank with. So some of the large ones are, you know, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and all that. And then, or a credit union, which might also be able to do that. But what has happened recently, actually before the second wave that started yesterday, is that there are now fintech companies that are SBA approved to be PPP lenders. Some of them have their restrictions, right? So like PayPal, and even some of the banks, they require you to have a bank account with them already. But there are some that don't require. So I have a list here of the ones that don't necessarily require you to have an account with them or to be an existing customer for you to be able to borrow the funds. And what's good about this is because even though even though these fintech companies aren't traditional banks and they don't have FDIC insurance, et cetera, what gives them confidence that they can lend these funds is because these funds are actually backed by the government. So again, loan forgiveness program is pretty lenient, even though I couldn't say that it's 100% that everyone who asks for loan forgiveness will get it, but it's pretty lenient given the circumstances. And the other thing is, because it's lenient, the government will back it. So whatever funds go out, the government will repay those funds. So that's something else to consider. There are also other fintech companies that are partnering with banks to provide loans. So, and they are not on this list. So I really urge you to go online and check those out because, as we've seen online, there are many of these different companies that are, or the banks, the larger banks, they're either very restrictive about who they're lending to, and they are, depending on how much they're willing to lend, they're running out, and so they're not accepting applications. So it's best to also look to see what other fintech companies might be, offering these programs. So I know the topic was mainly about the CARES Act, but if for some reason you're not able to get a loan through under the CARES Act, or you don't, because you don't quite fit into these different categories, I really encourage people to look for other resources in your areas. There are many states that have also created programs to provide loans for small businesses and grants. There are traditional funds that have created programs to help with the gap in financing. There are other companies who are raising money just so that they could help small businesses in your area. So I really urge you to not only think that if you can't get funds through the CARES Act or under the CARES Act, then there's no other way. There is always another way. So that's all. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's all I got. I know I kind of rushed through that, but hopefully.
Well, fortunately,
it all made sense.
Fortunately, this is, documented forever on the internet, and people can go back through it and, push pause and look at the slides and listen to what you're saying. So they make sure they go about this correctly. So thank you, Maureen. This is really, really great.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to see y'all again, and have a good evening.
Excellent.
Great stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do I just leave or you knock me out? Or not knock
boot you out, or you can leave on your own accord.
I would never knock you out.
Okay. I mean, I didn't mean to say it that way, but so I can just leave,
Maureen
right?
said knock you out.
Yeah. There's the door, but be careful.
Right.
Thanks, Maureen.
All right, bye. Have a
Great
good
stuff.
one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't want to knock anybody out. I don't know about you, Travis, but all that talk of PPP, I had to go hit the bathroom.
Yeah. So many P's.
All the P's. Well, listen, let's give one quick shout out to another one of our sponsors, and then we're going to bring in our closing keynote. It's MobiPay, mobipay.io, MOBIE pay.io. It's a universal payment ecosystem that lets consumers make secure fiat and digital currency payments worldwide from your mobile phone in seconds. It's super fast. They've got an integrated reward and payment token called the MobiCoin, and it connects fiat and digital currencies directly to a global retail marketplace where you get cash back on your purchases. So everybody in the Mobi ecosystem gets rewarded. If you sign up for their beta, they want to give you $10 worth of their MobiCoin, the MBX token. Super easy for you to do it. Simply go to our sponsors page, which I will very eloquently pull up seamlessly without any effort.
Very smooth. I want to commend you.
Smooth move. There it is. There's the page. Again, if you'll go to virtualblockchainweek.com, click sponsors right here, this blue button, scroll down, and there is MobiPay right there. This will take you to their website. Sign up for the beta, and you're going to get $10 in free MBX tokens. So go ahead and do that. And thanks, Mobi, for sponsoring this event. Mr. Travis Wright, are you ready for tonight's big finish?
Yes, I am. But first, I need to change my background.
Do you need a PPP? Bam! There it is. Yeah. So
now we've known Brittany for a very long time. I believe we met Brittany for the first time in Davos when we met the whole crew over there from Decentranet. Yeah. McKinney and all those guys. Great folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Brittany is an international law, diplomacy, and data-driven campaigning professional with significant global experience.
She's got on Brock Pierce's hat.
Maybe she took it from him. Her work involves developing successful strategies for politicians, governments, and corporations to achieve their goals using cutting-edge technology, and she's currently focused on legislative reform for digital assets such as personal data and tokens on the blockchain. The website for her is it's ownyourdata.foundation. You might know her, though, from Stage and Screen. No, you might know her from Cambridge Analytica. She worked for Cambridge Analytica, and she was the one that brought the information to the surface of the scandal that was taking place there. We'd like to give Brittany Kaiser a very warm virtual blockchain week welcome. Hey, Brittany, how you doing? Oh, she's connecting her audio. Well, she's going to sign language for a moment. There she is.
Connected.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Guys. How are you?
Excellent. So glad that you could make it.
Absolutely. So glad that you invited me. Very happy to be here.
I know a lot of people are eager to hear what you have to say tonight, so we're going to turn it over to you to give your
save the best for last for today. Yeah, you're the ending keynote of day 2, which was action packed, full of ladies today.
Way to insult the rest of our speakers, Travis. That was great.
Sorry to the rest of them.
I was going to say that is a massive compliment because I absolutely adore everybody that you had speaking today and got to tune in for some of it. So I'm very pleased to be capping it off for the evening.
Take it away, Brittany.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, good evening, everyone. So happy to see you guys here. I wish that we could all be in person together. I can't tell you how much I miss being at blockchain conferences around the world with all of our community, being able to be together. I really miss that energy. So I hope you can feel my energy coming to you through the screen. And I'm so happy that this got organized. So I wanted to tell you, I suppose this evening, a little bit more about my journey, you know, what I do, what I'm up to, and really how I got here. So for those of you guys that have never met me before, I'm Brittany Kaiser. I am a data rights activist. So now what does that mean? That means I spend a lot of time thinking about your privacy, about data protection, about technology and laws and regulations that can help protect that. And therefore, I spend a lot of time thinking about and working and advising in the blockchain space, because I really see distributed ledger technology as the answer to a lot of the problems that traditional technology has built. And by that, I really mean over the past couple decades, we've built ourselves a surveillance state, a kleptocracy. And I do see a lot of blockchain solutions as a way to resecure our independence, our freedom, and to have a much more viable and successful digital future. Now that all of a sudden, all of us around the world are leading a completely virtual life. I didn't think it would accelerate this quickly, but now I think everybody thinks about the data that they're producing every day and their privacy and how to protect themselves while leading a fully digital life. So I suppose to tell you a little bit more about how I got here, I should start from where I got into tech in the first place. And that's because I really always have believed that technology is something that can really help human beings solve a lot of the world's greatest problems. I always saw technology as an inherent good. And that started when I was a young political activist in high school, volunteering for the Howard Dean campaign, and then John Kerry, then the DNC. And I ended up on Barack Obama's first presidential campaign. I joined in 2007, and my first assignment was to create Barack Obama's Facebook page and work on the very small team, which was called New Media at the time, that was working to develop what data-driven social media strategy is today. We invented that for the first time. How could you collect data from social media and use that to inform communications? What does that actually look like? How can you gather data to start building rudimentary algorithms to understand people better? How do you collect data to understand what people care about, what's important?
Well, Brittany, did you lock up on us?
This would be themselves.
There you go. You locked up for just a second. That was a little glitch, but you're back.
Okay. I don't know what you guys missed, but it was just a little bit of an overview of the beginning of data collection on social media that we were doing on the Obama campaign. In the beginning, it was rudimentary, but over many years, obviously, I started to develop a bigger understanding of what data collection meant and how you could use technology to drive social good and to solve a lot of the world's greatest problems. I was studying as a human rights lawyer and therefore was doing a lot of human rights activism, working for United Nations departments, NGOs like Amnesty International, where again, we were using social media in order to understand how we could collect data to better engage people, to get involved in huge global activism campaigns, to get people to do grassroots activism in their communities on the local level, and making sure that we could, again, use technology to get people involved in something so important. Now, over the many years that I was working in the nonprofit and charity sector with tech, I started writing my PhD on preventive diplomacy. In human rights law, what that means is how can you understand what is going to happen before it does? Therefore, if you guys are more technical, how can you build advanced predictive algorithms that will tell you that a crisis or a war is going to happen before it does? And what that really looks like is large-scale data collection that is supposed to be for human good, to try to prevent human suffering. And that's what I really saw it as. I saw data collection as something that was inherently good. Now, during this time, no one at my law school could teach me anything about advanced predictive data analytics. So I joined a company that you've probably heard of, and maybe that's the reason you know me, a company called Cambridge Analytica. Now, I was pretty excited about what they were doing with data around the world, and I very quickly started to learn about what they were doing to collect information about people, from your attitudes, your behaviors, your purchasing history, your online browsing, who you're interacting with, your location data, to develop a very good understanding about everybody, and therefore be able to put you into a category of, for instance, somebody that could be driven to donate to a good cause, or someone that just wants to perhaps try a new brand of toothpaste, or somebody that wants to, come out and vote, and how do you drive them to do those things? And over the years that I was at this company called Cambridge Analytica, I suppose I started to have more of my own awakening about what data collection really means. For me, I was starting to see red flags when I was negotiating with big data brokers that told me how much information they really had on people, how much tracking and tracing they had done, what they had hidden in their terms and conditions in order to get people to agree to give away more of that data. And I started to really think, wow, I didn't realize that a company like this even existed, let alone that they know everything about me. And they're selling my personal information to anybody that has the money to buy it. And a lot of these, what they're called, are big data aggregation companies like Experian, Infogroup, Axiom. These are companies that their entire business model is either collecting or purchasing or licensing data from different sources, and then matching that, perhaps aggregating it, or even selling the raw data on to other people. I started to see what a big global business this was, that it wasn't simply providing basic information for us to have more successful advertising or political campaigns, that it was really full-scale surveillance. And that I, as an individual, or anyone else in these data sets was pretty much unaware of what was being sold, what was being traded around the world about us, and how much of that information actually existed. So I started to think, well, there's probably better ways to do this. I mean, we could be more transparent with people. We could very smart and highly paid data scientists were spending so much of their time just matching different data sets to each other and trying to verify, for instance, if there's 4 or 5 data sets about me and a couple of them say I'm a woman, a couple of them say I'm a man, you're going to pay a lot of money for somebody to figure that out instead of just perhaps asking me what is the real data about me. And I started to feel that working at a big data analytics company was not something that was true to myself. I'm an activist. I care about individual rights. I care about using technology for good. And the direction that this was going was not what was really that interesting for me. So I decided to leave Cambridge Analytica while I had been a member of the blockchain community for, I suppose, full-time for nearly 9 months when I decided to leave Cambridge. I had decided to get involved in advising some blockchain companies that were specifically working on how you could secure people's individual data, how you could give them more transparency into what was being collected, and how people would be able to monetize their own data for themselves. So one of the first platforms I was advising, Siglo, they had spent very many years building out a platform where people's data could be monetized, and specifically that was going to pay your internet bill, your phone bill, in areas where people had never really been able to afford connectivity before. And that's where I started to think, well, you know what, blockchain makes a lot of sense to me. Instead of these random companies being able to make millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars off of our data, why can't we start investing in and building in platforms where we have full control over what's being collected, where it's going, how it's being used, and therefore, if it's being monetized, that we have the ability to take control of those assets to empower ourselves. You know, it doesn't really make any sense to me that there are so many companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars, or some of them dipping into the trillions of dollars, where most of that value is data that has been collected from us. I mean, it's our human value that empowers those companies to have that valuation. And I didn't think about it for most of the years that I was at Cambridge, but once I started to think really hard about it and go to blockchain conferences and be involved in the community and learn about some of the platforms that were being built, this is throughout 2017, I started to be inspired to think, okay, well, you know, we can solve some of these problems of privacy and data collection. We do have a huge opportunity here to change things. And so I left Cambridge Analytica, and the first thing that I did was fly to Wyoming. I hope some of you guys got to see the amazing Caitlin Long speaking earlier today. I found out, I would say a week before I quit Cambridge Analytica, that the first ever what I like to call blockchain positive laws were introduced to Congress in the state of Wyoming. And I have, I suppose, too many law degrees and have spent a lot of time thinking about laws and regulation and what we could possibly do to enshrine data protection or digital asset management and privacy protocols or data ownership mechanisms into the law. What does that look like? So I flew to Wyoming because a lovely gentleman by the name of Brock Pierce told me about what Caitlin Long was doing there with Representative Tyler Lindholm and a lot of the other legislators in Wyoming, and I got really excited. So I quit Cambridge, flew to Wyoming, and was absolutely in awe of some of the legislative infrastructure that they had built there. You know, everything from laws that say your digital assets are your intangible personal property, where you actually have ownership over that, to looking at what it means to be a custodian, a third-party custodian of somebody else's assets, and the fiduciary responsibility that you should have to individuals.
Oh, got another little hiccup there, Brittany. Just missed the last 20 seconds.
Okay. So I'm not sure exactly where we were, but I was talking about some of my favorite concepts that came out of the first round of Wyoming legislation. And I would say some of my favorites are one, that your digital assets are your intangible personal property. So you own your digital assets. And at this time, we're not really talking about personal data per se. We're talking about our blockchain tokens, which are really just encrypted blocks of data, right? We're talking about what that means when I am not holding my digital assets. If someone else is holding them for me, then there's now laws that say that they have a duty to protect my assets because I own them, they are my property. And if someone else is a custodian of my property, then they have what's called a fiduciary responsibility to me to take care of my property before they think about profits for their shareholders. Something that I think a lot of big tech companies like Facebook could learn a lot from. Now, ever since the first round of Wyoming legislation got put in, I mean, I spent many weeks helping fly people in and out of Wyoming, where we sat in Congress to explain why blockchain technology was so important to people. And once we started to get those laws passed, there started to be kind of an awakening with not just different states in the US and federal government, but other countries around the world started to look at some of this and think, you know, not only does the blockchain and crypto community need common sense laws and regulations that allow us to innovate, but we also need protections. We need to have an understanding of what we're allowed to build, what that looks like, and how we protect individuals as they are using these technologies. How do we protect all of the assets that we are building and producing here too? And that became my next biggest crusade. About, I would say, maybe 6 weeks after I left Wyoming, I came to South by Southwest, where I think I did my first full Bad Crypto podcast interview. I had just come from Wyoming, show up in Austin, and I meet these incredible guys that are so lovely to be hosting us this evening. And we start talking about, you know, Wyoming and what this is going to mean for the future of this industry, and how it's going to legitimize this new emerging technology and make sure that it's no longer fringe and emerging, but actually blossoming into what will be one of the next biggest asset classes, and defining that and giving us a roadmap for innovation and building our projects. Now, the week after that, I went to Restart Week in Puerto Rico, which was one of the biggest blockchain conferences, so to say, or gathering of the crypto community from around the world. And I was so inspired by so many of the people that I had met there and what they were building and what types of social impact all of these blockchain projects were going to cause, that I decided to become a whistleblower on the data industry. It was very obvious to me, being surrounded by inspirational entrepreneurs that were wanting to make a real positive impact in the world, that there were a lot of massive problems in the big tech industries that needed to be solved. So I left restart week and flew to San Francisco to start working with The Guardian to describe to them what I knew about Facebook and Cambridge Analytica and what had happened in the 2016 elections and what that actually really means. So if you guys have seen any of my talks before, if you've seen some of my whistleblowing interviews, it really boils down to a few basic concepts that I have been working so hard to raise awareness about around the world. And that's really the fact that the amount of data that we're producing today, every single day we're producing exponentially more, yet until really the past 2 years, we haven't had comprehensive legislative or regulatory frameworks to understand what that means or to have any rights or transparency into that at all. So what the problems that we're experiencing today, where I think there's a new privacy scandal sometimes every few days, this is really the tip of the iceberg. And I think it's really important for everyone to understand how we're protected and how we're not. I'll do this quickly because I know we were a little bit over time, and if anyone has any questions, I'd like to be open to that as well. But I think the most important concepts or the most important problems that are being solved by a lot of new blockchain tech have to specifically do with ownership and data as your property. And so what I really mean by that, in order to land the plane for you, it means that instead of our data just being taken from us, where we are agreeing to terms and conditions that we are not reading, we have no idea where our data is going and who's going to have access to it and how it's going to be used. Instead, as some of the laws say in Wyoming, we would have ownership of our intangible digital assets. And so I suppose the way that I see this in the future is like an Airbnb model. So if someone wants to use your property, your house on Airbnb, they tell you who they are, what they're going to use it for, how long they're going to use it, and you agree on a price before you hand away the keys. With distributed ledger technology, with digital identity, especially with advanced smart contracting, we are going to see a future where, for instance, I can tell you that I'm comfortable with you collecting data about my purchasing habits, my political habits, what I read online. Maybe I'm not comfortable with sharing my location data. And for the data sets I decide to share, I can say I'm comfortable with these going to advertisers, but maybe not to political parties. And I'm happy for my data to be monetized for these purposes, but not for those. And I really think that those controls really come again with ownership. And also transparency and opt-in. If we understand what's being collected about us because we've agreed to it, then we can opt into our data being used for certain purposes and not for others. So those permission structures and tracking and traceability are incredibly important as well, to be able to see where our data has gone, where it's being accessed, where it's not being accessed, and be able to decide ourselves what we're giving permissions to is really a core capability of a lot of the new platforms that I see coming out. And then monetization rates. If I am going to own my data, if I want a piece of the pie of all of the companies around the world that are making money off of it every day, then I need to have rights to either a dividend of that, or I need to have access to a platform where I'm going to see where all of my opportunities to monetize my data and decide what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not. And the reason why I talk about this so much is because I really do see data as the great equalizer. Mark Zuckerberg lies to us and tells us that our data is only worth $17 per quarter. I mean, for some people around the world, $17 per quarter would still be completely life-changing. So let's just start there with realizing and accepting that. But if we are building, empowerment tools of the future, there are some very exciting projects. I don't know if you guys have seen Rainfall yet from my favorite guys at SVBS, but we're looking at building what would be an empowerment tool to decide where you want to earn money from your own human value, just the data that you're producing every day already that's being taken from you and you're not really getting an equal value exchange. I really do see the opportunities for us to share even more data than we do right now, as long as we are comfortable with knowing where it's going and what it's being used for. I really do believe in data science and artificial intelligence. And I think that data science and AI will solve a lot of the world's biggest problems. They'll make sure that we don't have cancer and diabetes in the future. It's going to make sure that we don't get in traffic accidents anymore. So I don't want everyone to just revert to privacy and not share anything. I want us to feel like our data is secure, like we have ownership.
Little glitch there in the matrix, right in the middle of saying something.
Right now, in order to.
There you go. We glitched again for a moment, right in the middle of something poignant, but it was just for a few seconds.
Okay, where did I stop?
Really just 10 seconds ago.
Okay, great. So yeah, I was just saying that the reason why I think figuring out both our legislative and regulatory structures that allow this to be possible, as well as building innovative, new, decentralized technologies, it goes alongside also a digitally literate population. You know, we need to be creating new laws and regulations. We need to be educating people about how to protect themselves, and we need to be building platforms that enable that, because I really do believe that AI and data science are going to be able to enable us to have even better lives than we already have today. A lot of the work that I'm doing right now that contributes to that, which anyone that is interested in the privacy, data protection, data ownership space, we'd love to have you on board. One of, oh.
There's your website. I just
put perfect. Yeah. So
ownyourdata.foundation.
Yes. So we started the Own Your Data Foundation in order to do digital literacy training. Right now we're concentrating on K through 12. We're teaching kids how to protect themselves online. We're teaching parents and teachers how to do that so that everybody understands what their data rights are, basic cybersecurity protocols, media literacy, so you can spot fake news and disinformation. How can you have a more ethical relationship with technology, use emotional intelligence on social media? All of these things we were never before taught in schools, but we are now. So I'm doing a lot of that work, as well as working with the Digital Asset Trade Association data, which we founded a couple of years ago in order to assist with what was going on in Wyoming, and then to help other states and countries start to implement new blockchain legislation and data protection and privacy laws as well. So if you want to get involved in either of those, please check out ownyourdata.foundation. We have the ability on there for you to talk about partnerships, to volunteer, to get involved in other ways. So please do write into us. You can write to info@ownyourdata.foundation. And yeah, I suppose just a closing comment, which is that I just love all of you guys so much. Like, being a part of the blockchain and crypto community has been such an important part of my life. I'm currently broadcasting live from the new Crypto Castle Hollywood, which is the third iteration of blockchain co-living, co-working spaces started by Jeremy Gardner, one of my roommates. He started the one in San Francisco, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have been to, the one in Miami, and now we have one here in the Hollywood Hills. So if you guys are in LA when it becomes socially acceptable again to socialize in person, we would love to have you over here. And we're also accepting applications for memberships if you live and work in LA part of the time, traveling from other cities. Again, when that happens. But I hope this is all going to open up pretty soon and we can see each other in person again. But for now, I suppose open to any of your questions, guys.
Well, you know, when we do travel again and make it to LA, we need to do some interviews at the Crypto Castle, Mr. Travis, right?
Yes, please.
That sounds like a great idea. Speaking of interviews, I believe you're going to be interviewing with Telegraph now after this.
I am.
Congratulations.
So still waiting for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This is really great information. You did not disappoint. We appreciate your passion and your sincerity, you know, what you're trying to accomplish here. So we encourage everybody to go to ownyourdata.foundation, see how you can get involved in this this mission, because it does concern you. It concerns me. It concerns all of us. And we've got to do something to make sure that the leviathans of the world don't use us.
It's been a common theme today, even like when Dima from Hacking was showing us all of our data breaches all over the place and all of our passwords that are all over, have been hacked. It's amazing. Like all of our data unwillingly has been sprinkled like on the cupcakes of the world without our permission.
Cupcakes of the world.
I'm going to have to use that one next time.
Thanks, Brittany. We don't want to keep Cointelegraph waiting. We know they're waiting to speak with you, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Good to see you guys again.
Thank you so much.
Soon.
Bye-bye. Take care. What a great way to close it up there, Mr. Travis, right? I mean, stellar.
That is true. And as we wind down today, don't forget to grab those VIP tickets today. Upgrade your ticket, because tomorrow is an awesome networking party that begins at 5 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to go on for an hour and a half. VIP tickets, they also receive 5 additional entries for the CryptoMaticATM giveaway. And you never know who you'll be thrown into a room with. Last time on Sunday, it was just such an amazing experience, and so many people commented about how that networking was more valuable to them than a lot of times in real life networking, because everyone was open and sharing, and there wasn't the wallflowers hanging out, drinking beers and hiding, or like me sometimes during those networking things, especially if I've already gone on stage that day, my social energy is down. I'm like, I need to go to my room for a while. That's not the case here.
Go to your room, Travis. Go to your room. By the way, I don't think I told you this, but I heard from Nick Spanos, the founder, blockchain pioneer, founder of Bitcoin Foundation, New York City. Yep. And I believe he's going to be coming to the crypto influencer happy hour.
Spanos?
Yep.
Does he have a big glove?
Yeah. So just so you guys know, the influencer happy hour, these are some of the influencers that have been supporting our efforts here. A lot of them, you follow their podcasts or their YouTube channels, and want to give a special shout out to Thinking Crypto, Tony, who's not on the page yet, but will be soon. And all of these folks are supposed to show up tomorrow for the Crypto Influencer Happy Hour, along with other VIPs and speakers. And so this is your opportunity. All you got to do is register for the VIP ticket right up at on the main page. When you go home, where it says register free, you can do that. Enter to win, register here. And VIP experience. $97 right there. Half of that will go to Binance Charities Crypto Against COVID relief efforts. So all you got to do is do one, boom, check out, take care of it, do it so you can take part in the VIP Crypto Influencer Happy Hour tomorrow. We'll go for about 75 minutes. That'll give us a quick break in between starting, because let's take a look at what's tomorrow, Travis. I'm going to pull up the agenda here.
Okay, and while you're doing that, I want to thank all of our speakers today: Alyze Sam, Brittany Kaiser, Caitlin Long, Edward Griffin. We had Reyna from Gilded. We had our boy Dima from Hacking. Joff Paradise was here. Sir John Hargrave was here, as well as Maureen Muray, and the one and only Mr. Stewart Rogers. Thank you to each and every one of those wonderful folks, and all of our great sponsors as well. Thank you to all of them, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in.
Yeah. So day 3 is tomorrow, day 3 of 5. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. Bobby Ong, the founder of CoinGecko, is going to be here. Jody Rich and others from the .cred team are going to be
That's going to be a great session right there.
Yeah. The NFTs. NFTs are really a huge part of mass
They're
crypto
nifty.
adoption.
I like them.
They are nifty. Joff Paradise is going to be talking about CryptoMatic ATMs, the past ATMs, and what they're looking like crypto-wise into the future. Roger Ver, Bitcoin OG, is going to be here. Veza,
Roger Ver, what?
Crypto Artist, is going to be here. Samson Williams, who is partner with Maureen Muray that you heard from tonight. He's going to be giving predictions. Well, he's going to be doing check-in on the predictions that were made, and maybe he'll give us predictions for what's going to happen the rest of the year. Sharia May is going to be here. Wow, what a story she's got. Jeremy Bourne of Coin Genius, Rachel Wolfson from Telegraph will be here, and we'll close out the day with the one and only CZ from Binance. Wow, put it on your calendar, gang. You're not going to want to miss any of this.
Thank you so much. It's been an action-packed day, and this is only day 2, so we have lots more. But I think tomorrow you guys want to start off early with us. Those VIPs are going to really be in for a ginormous treat.
Yeah.
It's really fun to sit in these rooms and then break out and connect to everyone else. So make sure to tune into that. And again, starting tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern time is when the stream will go live.
Spread the word. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night or morning if you're in Australia or New Zealand or somewhere else on the other side of the world.
Stay bad and do good stuff.
Mm-hmm.